the Prophet of Thought series. Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind. Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind.
What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another edition of the Prophet of Thought series. As y'all know, I'm your host, X, of course. And tonight, we were supposed to be talking about, well, we are going to talk about it. Tonight's show is Men Marginalized. What's good, y'all? I was supposed to have brother Theron on here tonight, but he said he got tied up doing something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's going to come on later or not. I don't know what the deal is. Can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me? The audio and all that working, y'all? Yes? No? Maybe so. Somebody say something. Can y'all hear me? Okay, y'all can hear me? Good. Oh, classic one. I sent it to your the messenger through YouTube because I didn't have your email or nothing like that. So, thanks, Brother Laquan. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, sometimes I gotta try to doll it up, for the ladies. I got a lot of ladies that be coming in, so I gotta kind of look spiffy sometime, Can't look like old mechanic all the time. Yeah, classic one. We're supposed to be joined by Brother Theron, but I don't know. Like I said, he wrote me earlier and said he got a little tied up, so I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna come later or I don't know what he's gonna do. I really don't. Yes, classic one. If you go to where the About page is and you look there, that's how I was able to message you because I didn't have your email or nothing, but I did put the link in your, as a matter of fact, don't worry about it. How about we do this? Don't worry about it, classic one. How about we do this? I'll just do this, put it in the chat, and there it is. So there it is, classic one. Jump right on. Do what you like. And anybody else who wants to jump on too, I guess. That's what you want to do. Now, mind you, tonight's topic is men marginalized. And I got a little bit of stuff to share with y'all tonight. As y'all can see, got the new headsets, you know, got the new computer, you know. So, you know, upgraded the things a little bit, upgrading the systems around here a little bit, y'all. You know, give it a little bit of a, you know, a better look. Give it a, you know, tighter kind of format because I was thinking about, you know, I'm going to reformat this platform. Now, mind you, my message is going to pretty much, my message is going to be the same. All right. I appreciate that, Brother Laquan. The message is going to be the same, but we're going to be revamping this platform, man. And in the days and weeks and months to come, y'all going to see a lot of differences. And also, I want to let y'all know that I'm in the process of looking for other personnel to be part of the TPOT team. I just want to put that out there. Y'all know what we do here. Y'all know how we do it. So I'm looking for some new talent. I'm looking for some people who want to come up on here and be up on the mic and be up on the streams, you know, once a week. People who want to be part of the video making. You know, I'm looking for some new stuff because, like I said, we're going to be revamping. You know, this platform. So shit's going to be different around here, y'all. Straight jack, and y'all going to start seeing some different looks. Y'all going to start seeing some different stuff because we're going to be doing shit different. You know, I just want to let y'all know. So, so let's get to it, shall we? I know that all of y'all have seen what's going on TV. Y'all have seen the constant. Oh, Classic Ruby's here. I see you. Can you hear me? Hello? Classic one. Okay, she's not saying anything.
Sorry, it had me locked out so I could see the call, but I couldn't get in the call to unmute myself, so I had to reboot it. But I'm here.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, what's going on? Now, the reason why I asked you, Classic Ruby, to be part of this panel tonight is because I watch your stuff. I've watched the comments that you make on a lot of other men's platforms. And I like your concepts. I like the way you think about men. And you make a lot of sense when you talk.
Thank you.
It's not that often that you run into women who have the point of view that you have. So that's why I wanted to bring you on tonight for this topic. Because let me be clear, all right? Chaw Willie, what's good? Chalk to the wheel in the house. Let me be clear. Men are being marginalized more than ever. And I'm not just talking about with what's going on today. Now, everybody knows, like I was about to say, everybody watches TV and they've seen what's going on, you know, on TV. You got everybody coming out of the woodwork saying, you know, this guy touched me, this guy followed me, this guy did something to me. Now, whether or not you believe the women or the men is one thing. But the what's up, Curious Calico? But one thing you have to understand is this. The people who are coming forward now after, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, which is their right to do. Their right to do it. But what I don't like is the fact that these people can come with these allegations from 10, 20, 30 years ago and totally destroy everything that these men have built. These men are losing their careers. They're losing companies that they built over time. They're losing TV shows. They're losing everything. Now, mind you, I'll say again, these women have a right to come and, you know, say whatever they want to say. But the fact that they can say something and claim it happened 10, 20, 30 years ago, and we automatically just take everything away from the man, I just think is just beyond the pale, especially if it hasn't been proven yet. Okay? If it hasn't been proven yet, I mean, an allegation is just that. An allegation is allegedly this happened. An allegation isn't proof. Someone just saying it isn't proof. So these men alone are being marginalized. But all that just goes to a further point that as men, we have always been the de facto sounding board, if you will. We've always been the de facto person to be blamed. We've always been the de facto person who you can always say it's their fault, regardless of anything else, regardless if we've done anything. A lot of times as men, just us being there is enough for us to be blamed. And the reason I believe, I mean, because everybody knows we live in this gynocentric matriarchy society, especially in Black society. I mean, that's no secret. But the problem with that is that we are often blamed for things that we don't even have any damn thing to do with. It's one thing if we have direct implications or direct action, or we are part of a direct cause of whatever happened. But many a times as men, we find ourselves blamed for shit when we haven't even done anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So we have been pushed to the margins. Yeah, that's right, cats. We've been pushed to the margins because we are easy targets. It's easy to say it's the Black man's fault. Because think about it. Now just think about this. Not to jump off the topic too much, but think about this. When a Black man gets shot by the police, right? Now, even if we look and we see it on film, right? And we watch this man not being armed, not having a knife, not having a gun, not having a stick, bat, anything, right? And we see this man. Let's talk. Matter of fact, I'll give you a good case in point. Let's talk about what's his name? Scott. Mr. Scott from South Carolina, who was shot, I believe, somewhere between 6 and 8 times in the back down in South Carolina, right? Now, the first thing that happened was what? He was blamed for his own self getting shot in the back. Even though we saw it clear as day, that the man was running away, his back facing the officer. He didn't have anything in his hand. He wasn't making any threatening gestures. He wasn't doing any of that. But the first thing that cop said was, the Black man was trying to do something to me, therefore I had to shoot him. Even though it was on film, even though we saw that this was a total farce and a lie, the first thing he did was blame the Black man for his own death. That's the first thing he did. And that carries over not just with police brutality, that carries over inside of Black society as well. Now, as far as women go in Black society, our female Black counterparts, whenever something is going on, say we have a neighborhood that's full of crime and drugs and crack and killing and death and everything else, the first thing that will come out of most of those women mouths, maybe not all of them, they will say, well, because these men are not being fathers to their children, because these men are not being around, because these men this, these men that, these men this, these men that. That's what you will hear. So the black man will always, he will always get blamed. He will get blamed if he is there. He will also get blamed if he's not there. Do you understand what I'm saying? The black man will always get blamed within black society. And I think it's about time that black men not only stop being the whipping boy of society. And I don't just mean black society. I mean white society, society at large, the power structure. I mean, it's time for the black man to stop being the whipping boy of everyone, because everyone uses the black man as a whipping boy, because we are soft targets. We are easy targets. And if anybody doesn't understand that, they don't understand anything. Okay. And not that I'm up here boo-hooing. All right. I'm not up here boo-hooing saying, oh my God, the black man is so oppressed. Oh my God, you know, the white man got his foot on the black man's neck. No, that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that whenever there's a crisis within black society, it's always the black man's fault. You understand? It's always the black man's fault, all the time. And I think it's time for that shit to stop. Now, I'm not a female, so I have you on here because, like I said, I think you're a very intelligent person, and I like the things you have to say. I want to hear your point of view on this.
Okay. Well, as far as what's happening like with Hollywood right now, I really think that the black man in general has never really had protection against false accusations. If anything, we've seen throughout the history, even after Jim Crow laws were gone and whatever, we see every year there are people working on the Innocence Project trying to free black men who were convicted for rape or other crimes that they never committed and spent 20 years, 30 years in prison. So when I see the Me Too kind of, and I mean, even if black women are jumping on the bandwagon, I really see it more as a white thing against affluent white men. So it's obviously the trickle down effect is going to be that it's going to impact obviously black men as well, relatively deeply. And my issue with the movement in general has to do with the statute of limitations, because there is a statute of limitations for only crimes generally that don't have statutes of limitations are murder, like sexual assault of a child. So there's a statute of limitations against like for rape claims, for sexual assault claims, somewhere between, we'll say, 1 to up to 10 years. So what really bothers me is that what these women are doing is they are waiting until the statute of limitations has run out, so that way there's no way that you could bring actual against everybody and look for evidence and see whether or not, you know, see whether or not there's actually evidence to support that a crime even was committed, whether they're telling the truth or not, and then they're trying them in the media. So in essence, there are a whole bunch of men who are now literally losing everything. They're not going to prison, but they're losing everything else, and it's all uncorroborated. It's all unsubstantiated. And I don't think social media should be the place that we're trying crimes.
I agree. So what do you think? Because, well, let me say this. Within black society, it's usually the total opposite. In black society, especially when you're talking about people doing things to young children, because everybody knows we've talked about this before in the Proper Thought series many times, and if y'all follow me, y'all know we have. You know, we talk about child molestation. We talk about you know, the incest. We talk about this stuff on the Proper Thought series. All you have to do is look at my files to see that. Now, I believe that within black society, we have a tendency to do just the opposite, because if someone molests the child, there's times within Black society, well, most of the time in Black society, that we don't say anything. We don't bring it up or say something about it. What we do is pretend that it never happened. I actually talked about this before, where we have given some of these pedophiles amongst us a pass because they molested one, two, three, four, five different children. Okay, they've done that, and 10, 15 years down the line, we still invite these guys to the Christmas dinner. We still invite these guys to the family reunion. We still invite these guys to the family barbecue, and everybody just goes and pretends like nothing ever happened. So in Black society, I think we do the opposite on that level. Not that those two things are the same. There are distinguishable differences between the two, but as Black folks, we have a tendency not to ever say anything, even when it's something egregious. Because, you know, molesting a child is sexually assaulting a child, abusing a child is something egregious, and we have a tendency to be really, really hush hush about it. But as far as marginalizing men, though, I believe that the reason why a lot of Black men are marginalized, and not just marginalized by the people within Black society, Black men are marginalized by the government itself, the power structure. What better way? What better way to keep the Black society dependent? What better way to keep Black society always wanting? What way to keep Black society on the bottom? If you disenfranchise Black men, and you put Black men in a position where Black women can, I don't want to say look down on them, but see them as inferior almost. You give those women a sense of power where they will start to look at the Black man the same way the white man does. I often say we have a tendency to look at ourselves through the white man's eyes. And I think that that is part of the reason that the Black man is being marginalized within this country. And
Absolutely.
And at some point, because they know that if the Black man is ever if the Black man is ever given some leeway, okay, if the Black man is ever given some leeway, they know he's going to take off. So they have to keep his path narrow, and they have to keep it so he can't do this and he can't do that and he can't do this and he can't do that. So they have to make it that way to keep the Black man suppressed. Because as long as they keep the Black man suppressed, they'll always be able to control the Black woman. Because see, one thing about the Black man can't be controlled. There's no controlling the Black man. There's no controlling him. But see, they can't control women. They can't control Black women. You know why? They can control Black women by giving them things. You know, giving them money, giving them food, giving them shelter, giving them whatever. Now, they can be controlled. They can be controlled. But the Black man can't be controlled. You know why? Because this society gives them nothing. This society gives the Black man nothing. That's why the Black man can't be controlled. Because no one's giving him anything. Anything that most Black men get for. Okay? And I'm talking about real Black men. Let me make that clear. I'm not talking about the immature ass goddamn Black men who goddamn don't want to work, don't want to build, don't want to take care of children, don't want to do none of the shit a Black man's supposed to do. I'm talking about real Black men who don't want nothing but what's theirs and ain't willing to have nothing that they haven't worked for. I'm talking about men like that. All right. I'm not talking about the men. I'm not talking about the so-called men who are living off of other people, living off of their woman, living off of their girlfriends. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real Black men who get out there and do what they have to do, and they are men for themselves and nobody else. They're men for them. They're men for themselves first. All right, they're men for themselves first, and they build their own life. I'm talking about those men. Those men, this society doesn't give them shit. I know, because I'm one of them. Whatever I don't work for, I don't have. All right, whatever I don't work for, I don't have. I just don't. That's why I refuse to be controlled by anything. I refuse to be controlled by the white man. I refuse to be controlled by white society. I refuse to be controlled by the power structure, because the power structure doesn't give me shit. Doesn't give me shit. So I don't have to follow its rules. I don't have to do any of that, because I make
Could
my
I just
own
mention
rules.
something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, and I'm not sure if it works exactly the same way in America as it does in Canada, but what I've noticed in Canada when it comes to the welfare system is that basically they give you enough so that way, like, you're not in a ditch and starving, and on the surface, especially if you're very basic, it feels like you've got everything, but you can't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't try to better your life and actually own things. When I say things, I mean like you can't own a house or a car, or like the welfare system in Canada, they actually make you sell everything that you own to pay off any deficits and bills and this and that. If what they're giving you doesn't cover, oh well, then I guess you just don't have a home. Or if what they give you doesn't cover a 3-bedroom for you and your husband and your 3 kids, well then, oh well, I guess you're going to have to go move into a 1-bedroom. So they kind of set it up in such a way where they're infantilizing you by making you like you're getting an allowance from your parents, i.e. the government, and that allowance gives you enough so that way you're just comfortable enough could ever better yourself, and they block you from doing anything to better yourself. Like again here, like you can't go to school and get like any type of school loans to go to school. There's like you can't do anything to better yourself at all. So even though they're getting help from the government and it looks like help and everyone's jumping on this bandwagon because it looks like, oh my god, look, I can live for free and I can buy my kids Nikes and I can da 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 and get my hair done every couple months or whatever it is. So it looks like they're getting something, but really they're not. What they're doing is they're being handed a ticket into the level that they're at for the rest of their lives. They can never go anywhere with it. And what's worse, so like I've read a lot of studies, and there are 2 things that seem to show a difference between familial success. And one is home ownership, and the second is inherited wealth. And it's not like you have to inherit millions of dollars. It's just when your parents die, did you have to pay for their funeral, or was that already paid for by the, insurance and whatever they had? And they, you also have a nice little nest egg. And that's something that the Black community doesn't really have. And so they're not passing on wealth to their kids. They're not passing on any type of, I guess, functional behavior to the kids. And you have a whole bunch of women raising children by themselves, thinking that, they're living large because they get this government check every month that, keeps them in Nike shoes and, their weave freshly did, and that's about it. They can't seem to see outside of that and realize that stagnant at that level. The level that you're at is basically the level that, a grade 9, grade 10 student who's, working a part-time job should be at, as far as what, they're earning and what they're glorifying, getting their hair done, getting their nails done, getting their, new shoes. At the end of the day, what we're seeing is a whole bunch of infantilized women calling themselves strong and independent and this and that, and other women are looking at them, seeing the surface shiny, oh, her hair's done, oh, look at this, oh, look at that, and saying, I want to be on that bandwagon too. And you can just sit down and get it for nothing. That's even better, realizing that that's not worth anything. And so when you don't realize that that's not worth anything, and turn around and look at have husbands and good men in their lives, and see that home ownership and see that car ownership and see all those things and see them as positives. I've actually heard people say, like, oh God, all those extra bills, my rent's only this. Okay, but I own my house. So, like, no one's gonna, just say, you know what, I just don't want you here anymore. I don't like the way you painted the walls or whatever. Like, I own this. And at the end of the day, their mentality is so messed up that they can't see that they need two-parent homes, for example, are so much better for the children, so much better for the two individuals in them, but they can't see that. So all of our Black men their value isn't even noticed because these women aren't valuing valuable things, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It does make sense. Because you got to think about it. Think this when I talk about men being marginalized. What a lot of people don't understand is that when a man is being pushed out of a situation, because think about it like this. You often hear us talk about, us content creators or us internet opinionators, as I like to refer to us as. Um, we often talk about, the illegitimacy rate and, baby mamas and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. And what comes along with a lot of that baby mamaism and all that stuff is poverty. Okay, a poverty comes with it. Now, regardless of what people tell you, I know I'm up and down the East Coast all the time. I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Virginia. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in New Jersey. I'm in New York City. All right, I'm in these places. All right, I'm in Maryland, and let me tell you something. I see these places. All right, and I see these single mothers, and I see these hoods, and I see these ghettos. And let me tell you something. A lot of them are living pillow to post. All right, they live in pillow to post, and they would be living better. They would be living better because I've seen families that was poor that had a man in that house. And let me tell you something. They might have been poor, but they weren't as poor as the poor single mothers. They just weren't. And a lot of the families that I've seen, because when I was growing up as a young man, all right, I was fortunate. I had a mother and a father, and it was 9 of us. All right, there was 9 of us. But my father was a very hardworking man. Okay, my mother, she was a stay-at-home mother, and my father took care of 9 kids by himself. My mother didn't start working until, because I'm the next to the youngest. All right, me and my younger sister, and my older siblings are a little bit older than me. The closest one to me is about 7 years. So my mother didn't start working, and my mother didn't start working until I was about 8 years old. I was about 8 or 9 years old when my mother started working, and she eventually started, driving buses and stuff like that. And she retired from being a bus driver. But my mother didn't start working until I was about 8 or 9 years old. And by then, like I said, there was 9 of us. So I was fortunate. Now, I knew kids who lived on the other side of where I lived at. And this place was called the Bottom. All right. That's what it was. It was like a little cul-de-sac, and it was filled with houses. And a lot of these houses over there in the Bottom, they didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity. A lot of them had plastic and wood and shit on the windows, all that kind of shit. And they got together and they would have to go to a well to get water out of the well in the middle of this cul-de-sac. I'm talking third world poverty. All right. I mean, I've seen real poverty. Forget the poverty that I see, in the hoods of Jersey and the hoods of New York City and the hoods down here in North Carolina. I'm talking third world poverty where you literally have to go to a well to get your water. I saw that as a little kid. I was friends with some of those kids that lived with a parent who went and got water from a well. All right. Now, up further from that, there was also poor families that lived in that same region. But those poor families had a mother and a father. And guess what they had? Even though they lived right there on that same strip, and You saw these people, these women maybe had 2, 3, 4 kids. The poor married family had way more than that. They had 5 kids, they had 6 kids. But guess what they had? They had lights. They weren't going to the fucking well. All right. And they had a little beater car. You know, they had a little hoopty car. So obviously they had more. I don't know exactly what their situation was, but they had more children, right? They had more children than these women did, but they also had more shit. They weren't going to the well. They had electricity. They had a car, you know? So even back then, as a young child, it let me know that they wouldn't be in the situation they were in if they had a husband. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they had you're not going to be as poor if you have 2 parents contributing to the household. You're just not. You're not going to be as poor. How could you be with 2 able-bodied adults in the house, unless you know the man is a simp and all he do is sit around all day and play damn PlayStation? Then that's a different story. Because you gotta buy his games, you gotta buy his PlayStation shit. So of course that's gonna have you poor as hell. But I'm talking about if you got a real man in the house, you're just not gonna be as poor as if you didn't. You're not. I mean, I'm a true believer, and I've always said this, man, and I've talked about this over the course of many, many years, that, you know, that single motherhood shit, man, is a road to poverty. Because anybody who knows anything about poverty, one of the hardest holes to get out of with poverty is having children. One of your biggest barriers to poverty is children. So you probably need to have some degree of help. You know, you need some degree of help with those children if you ever want to get out of that poverty. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible to get out of poverty. I'm not saying that it's impossible, because it's not. But to get out of that poverty is not going to be easier. It's not going to be easy if you have a lot of children, especially if you continue to have them.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to have them, it's definitely not going to be. It's not going to be easy. But I want to say this. If you have a man, right? If you have a man in your life, in your house, okay, not only is he helping you contribute financially, he's also helping you contribute spiritually, mentally. You know why? Because a lot of the things that because I know a lot of single mothers. I know a lot of single mothers. I know a few baby mamas, okay? I know quite a few. All right. Mm-hmm. One thing about these women that I've always noticed is that they are different living by themselves than they are when a man is with them. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think y'all heard what I said. They conduct themselves totally different when they are living by themselves as opposed to how they are when a man is living with them. They operate totally different. The way they deal with the children are different. They're more ambitious when a man is around. They're less lazy when a man is around. They don't treat the children as bad when the man is around. I mean, things just change. So to marginalize the man, to push the black man out when we know he's an asset. We know he's an asset. We try to deny it. We try to deny that the black man is an asset. We try to deny that. But the black man is an asset, especially when you're talking about children, because the black man is the best father on the planet. There's no denying that. There's no denying that. The black man is the best father on the planet. All right? So if you're a woman with children, the last goddamn thing you want to be doing is marginalizing their father Because if you got a black man as your baby's father, you're not going to find a better father than that. You're just not. Whether he's black, whether he's white, whether Hispanic, Asian, just look at the stats. I'm actually about to do a video. I'm about to put a video up in another day or two talking about that. How black men are the best fathers on the damn planet. Better than white men, Asian men, Hispanic men, especially when it comes to spending time with their children and teaching their children. I mean, you can't find a better father for your children than a black man. That's just the way it is.
The thing is, though, is like, okay, so my parents were teen parents. I was an oops pregnancy. Pregnant with me while she was giving her valedictorian speech, graduating high school. So she was definitely not the person anyone expected to get pregnant. My dad was like kind of like, you know, more of a partier, drinker, whatever. One way or the other, they did get married before I was born, separated / divorced before I don't remember them ever being together. I mean, my parents have always not been together, and they despised each other. Like, they could not have a conversation without screaming at each other. And I really internalized that. But the one thing that they wouldn't do is talk to me and talk down about the other. That was my dad, or that was my mom, and that was it. So even though they hated each other, at the end of the day, there was never a time where, you know, my dad would go, she's such a this, she's such a that, you know what your mother did, or vice versa. And even though they hated each other, they made sure that they lived very close to each other. So it's like literally walking distance most of my childhood. And I went back and forth every other day, and every other weekend I spent with the other parent. And they worked together to raise me, even though they couldn't stand each other. And they made sure not to down the other person. They made sure not to bring their adult problems and issues and feelings into. So even though I internalized the fact that they clearly didn't like each other, and, you know, they could have probably did a little bit of a better job on that, I can't even imagine what it would have done to me if they started telling me about the other one. Oh, you know, your piece of shit dad, or, you know, your piece of shit mom, or whatever. If people don't realize the impact that that's going to have on your children, and then the way that your children are going to behave, the way that your household is then going to respond in kind. At the end of the day, people aren't paying attention to their behavior because they're incredibly selfish, and they're incredibly that they know how to focus on is themselves, their own thoughts, their own feelings about things, and they're not realizing the impact that they're having. You have all these people who either don't get married or can't stay in marriages because the only thing that they're thinking about in the marriage is themselves. They're not thinking about their significant other. They're not thinking about their spouse and their children and everyone else's thoughts and feelings and whatever. They're just thinking no one's thinking enough about them. But me today, why isn't, you know, my husband came home and he just ignored me today. How dare he ignore me, my feelings, me, instead of saying, man, he must have had a hard day if he's ignoring me today. You know what? Let me wide berth because he seems, you know, like he needs space, or let me go give him a massage, or let me, you know, just talk to him and see what's going on, or whatever, right? We're so about me. Why am I not being upheld up here? Why am I not being given queen status? Why am I? Because we are consistently doing that, especially as women, where, you know, we kind of, that's what we want. We want to be the queen and have a knight in shining armor. A knight's station is lower than a queen's station. So you want someone who will battle for you and fight for you and whatever, but, you know, you're the ruler. So you're the queen. And because we continue to do this, then we think it's okay for us to then turn around and denigrate, you know, the men in our lives and put them down around the children, so that way the children look at us like we're a queen. Because if the man's not going to do it, at least our kids can do it. And we're not seeing the impact that that's having on our children and on our greater communities. And if we stopped doing that, and households that don't do that, neighborhoods that don't do that, you see a radical difference in just the behavior, the cleanliness, the productivity of the people who live there and the children. And that's like with any race, but especially in the Black community.
Yeah, because wouldn't it be something if women who didn't have men in the house. Instead of telling the children how your dad ain't this, your dad ain't that, wouldn't it be better if, because a lot of times they're making up lies anyway, right? So
Mm-hmm.
instead of telling the lie about how awful the man is, why not tell a lie about how good he is? Why not do that? Instead of making up a lie about how bad the man is, how about if you're gonna lie, why not make it a good damn lie? I mean,
Well,
literally.
because then they're not going to be elevated. If you're talking about your no good ex, and you're making up good lies about him, and bringing him up and making him a positive figure, then you can't be God. You can't be elevated. You can't be the one that your kids look at and say, "You're the only one who's ever been down for me. You're the only one who's ever taken care of me." You're not elevated above anything. And since you don't have self-confidence, you don't know how to fix yourself and then go put yourself in a relationship with someone who you can give respect and get respect from. You need your children to elevate you. And the only way you can do that is by making sure they think their dad isn't shit.
Yeah, but that's just incredibly ridiculous and selfish. And in the long run, I've often said this, that men, the difference between men and women, especially with men who don't live with their children full time. And even if a man does, let me rephrase that, even if a man does live with his children full time, the difference between men and women is that women like children to worship them. Men don't. Men, we like our children to respect us, not worship us, respect us. And there is a difference, because, see, worship, and I've said this before, worship is subjective. Just like you worship a God when you go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque, wherever you go. You worship a God, and you worship that God 1 day a week, 2 days a week, but the other 5 days a week, the other 6 days a week, you're doing whatever you want. And guess what? You may decide, hey, I'm not going to church this week. I'm not going to the synagogue this week. I'm not going to the mosque this week, depending on what you're thinking and feeling. So worship is subjective. Respect is not, because worship is pretty much based on how you feel, more so than what you think. Respect is different. Respect has nothing to do with how you feel. Okay? No matter how you feel, that respect, you're going to have it, especially when it comes to your old man. I know when I was younger, my old man said a lot of shit that I didn't like. And he said it, and he didn't give a damn about my feelings when he was saying it. He didn't. But I never lost respect for him, because that respect, that's what he taught me to do. He taught me to respect him, not worship him. When women teach these kids to worship them, okay, and have disdain for the father, all that does is set them up for that subjective worship as they get older, because those kids are not going to stay kids forever. Eventually they're going to grow up, they're going to become adults. Excuse me. And like I said, worship is subjective. So they're only going to worship you when they feel like they want to. As they get older, they're only going to worship you as they want to. Respect is different. You respect something no matter what's going on, no matter what you feel about it that day, what happens with it that day, it doesn't matter. Respect is not subjective. It's not subjective, but worship is. So they're really doing these children a disservice when they're teaching, because, see, once you teach a child to worship you and disdain the man, because you want this child to marginalize this man, you have marginalized this man for whatever reason, right? So now you want the children to do the same thing. But guess what? Eventually those children are going to become adults. And eventually, if they have any sense, they're going to seek out and see if the things that were being said about them when they were young are true. They're going to see that. I know that's what happened to me with my children. I mean, my kid's mother told them all kinds of shit about me, all kinds of shit. And guess what? 99% of that shit wasn't true. There was maybe a kernel of truth in that shit, a kernel, if that. That other shit was all bogus shit she just made up. Because they know that, just like the rest of society, they know that if they marginalize a man, if they put a man out in the wilderness, all right, where he has no one to believe his side of anything, they know that eventually the man will not only start to lose whatever it is he has, he will start to lose the respect of others. Because if a kid grows up and he hates his father, why do you think he hates his father? If his father's never around, if he don't even remember his father, what about that man could he possibly hate? He doesn't know him. He's never seen him. He's never talked to him. He's mad at him simply for not being around. That's the only reason that he's got to be mad at him? No. It's that this man has been marginalized by this child's mother, telling him that, oh, he left us, he didn't care about you, he didn't care about me, he didn't care about anything. So what happens? This child starts to take on this whole ideology of marginalization against this man, even though he knows nothing about this man. All he knows is that this man is not around. That's it. That's it. That he's not around. So all that other stuff that comes, all that other stuff that he thinks about and comes to him, is coming to him from somewhere else. It's coming to him from his mama, his grandmama, and whoever else is talking to this kid about this man. That's where it's coming from. And that's what marginalization does. I mean, marginalization never really comes from one person. It comes from a collective. All right? It comes from a collective. Because, see, if one person says something about you, people may not necessarily believe it. I mean, you look at what's going on TV now. All right? When it was one person saying something about these men, people were like, oh, you know, maybe. But once it gets to be 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's a collective, now people start paying attention. They have to start paying attention now because more than one person is saying it. So it's never just one person that can marginalize you. You find yourself marginalized when there is a collective of people. Because just like with the man and the child, it's usually not just the child's mother that's telling you, that your dad is nothing. It's usually your grandma. It's usually your aunts. It's, maybe some of your simp ass cousins. They're telling you this. You're being bombarded with this from many sides. Because it's hard to believe something that one person tells you if you haven't seen it for yourself. But if you got 10 people telling you that same thing, it may be a little easier to believe. And I'm a true believer of that. If you got 10 people telling you something, it's easier to believe than it's just one, even if it's something you haven't seen.
That is absolutely true. But I think that there's also the fact, and this is the thing, if a kid is going to school, let's say, with a whole bunch of people who also don't have fathers in their lives, and that's one thing, that's everyone's experience. But if a kid is going to school and there are kids who have fathers in their lives, who are around and present and helping them with this and that or whatever, you see a lot of the kid who doesn't have a father feels incredibly jealous. So even if he's not getting the negative, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not the case that primarily that's what's happening. You're getting the negative narrative from the mothers. I personally only know of one woman who even tried not to do the negative narrative, besides my best friend who's and doesn't ask. So, but only everyone else did the negative narrative thing, and I've seen this happen. But the thing is, these kids are seeing everyone else have a dad and having fathers and seeing what, and even just punishment, just getting grounded by their dad or getting in trouble for trying a cigarette or whatever it is throughout life. And they feel an extreme sense of jealousy. And when they hear men talking about, the love for their children and support for their children, or, cheering for them on the baseball diamond or whatever the case is, they start to grow a hate in and of itself, especially if they're getting whether they're getting any narrative at all, just where are you then? Why aren't you here? Because I'm hearing all these people say I wouldn't give up my kid for anything, and you did. So either I'm not worth anything, or you're a horrible person because you're willing to walk away from something that's supposed to matter. So you do have kind of like a double issue there, where there are also from the kid's perspective, he's saying, well, if I mattered at all, you'd be here. Why aren't you here? If it's a matter of drugs, whatever the reason is that he's not there, it's kind of like, well, why wasn't I important enough to pull it together to be there for me? Or why didn't you fight harder for me? This is my uncle's kid when we finally found him at 17, because his mom literally took him and ran away with him. And that's what he said. He said to me one day, we were having a conversation. He said, well, if he really loved me, why didn't he fight harder? Why didn't he look harder? Remember, we went to court. We hired private eyes. We could not find her. Try harder. I wasn't that far away. Da, 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 da. So these are the things that, and no one spoke to him one way or the other about his dad. His dad was dead. He was gone. That's what he was told. So it comes down to, these kids are also creating narratives. They're seeing TV, they're seeing peers, they're seeing other people who have two-parent households, and they are jealous and they are envious, and they are realistically very hurt. That's why I think that as women, because we are the ones who ultimately bear the children, so as women we need to start recognizing, just from the point of conception going forward, that we're creating a child. And those children's thoughts and feelings from the moment of conception need to be more important than yours. Because even just being separated from the father in and of itself is going to create some type of harm the kid's going to need to get over. So the worse that situation gets, you don't know who the father is, or, you had one guy raising him for 4 years that wasn't really the dad, now the new dad's coming in. You have to realize at the end of the day that this is creating so much damage and so much trauma to these kids that they might not even demonstrate immediately, but you'll see coming out later in other ways. And, this is what strengthens things like the school to prison pipeline. At the end of the day, you're angry, you don't feel like, you're worth anything, because you feel like society is basically telling you you're not worth anything on all different kinds of levels. Why not act out? Why not go and find a daddy on the street, i.e., an OG, lead you and tell you what a real man's all about, because you don't have one at home who does that, and except for your mom's ancient boyfriend or whatever, right? So there's so many things that are coming into play and coming together. And not only are men being marginalized, but even from, basically conception and growing up, these kids are like, not only that they're marginalized, but like that they're not worth anything. They're not getting messages that are telling them that they are worthwhile, and that they are something great, that they deserve to work hard for themselves, or even being told what working hard is as a man.
Mm-hmm. I just put the link in the chat, so if anybody wants to join in on the discussion, y'all know, this is how we do it here. You're welcome to join in, hop in, tell your story. You can tell your story of marginalization, because I know many of us black men, we do feel that that marginalized thing. It's hard to be a black man in America and not go through some degree of marginalization. The question is how you deal with the shit. Because my old man used to tell me all the time, and I know y'all have heard me say this before on this platform. Experience is not what happens to a man. Experience is what a man does with what happens to him. So, it's what you do with that marginalizing of yourself that's what ultimately matters. That's what's going to ultimately matter. Forget the fact that you're being marginalized. Forget that, because we all have felt some degree of it. What you do despite of it is what ultimately counts. Because if you fall victim to it and you let it keep you from doing the things that you need to do for you as a man, you've let the people who
Mhm.
put you on the margins, you've let them win.
And the thing is, so because we're talking a lot about single mothers and single parents.
Mhm.
Hello?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
Um,
you.
a lot about single parenthood, but what I've noticed, and and I noticed like in the BGS hangouts and stuff, we talk a lot about like, oh well, because I'm Caribbean and because I'm Canadian, that's why my value system is different, and I think that that is true to an extent. But I've also seen some pretty horrific things happen to the men. So it was, I'll say, a lot of kids that were born in the 70s. They're Caribbean, so Trinidad, Jamaica, places like that. And for God knows what reason, this was like in my city, so it's not like it was a terrible city, terrible neighborhood. These people owned houses and whatever, two-parent households, and there was a bunch of kids. So there's one boy and two girls, and one boy and three girls, or whatever, one boy, one girl. And they actually had this thing where they were literally locking the boys out of the fridge and locking the boys out of the cupboards, so they weren't allowed to eat the food that the daughters were, unless there was like one, they were allowed to have dinner or breakfast sometimes or whatever. These kids were drinking like hot water so that way their stomachs wouldn't fill with gas. And then if they performed badly at school, breakfast was taken away. And so what was happening is the boys were say performing badly, and the response, since they're not allowed to be beaten anymore, was to starve them. And that didn't happen to the girls, it happened to the boys. And because I don't have a girl, like one girl who's told me this story, but I actually met countless guys who all lived in my city. So again, it's a good city, it's a nice clean place and whatever. And this is what was happening. It was okay for you to starve your boys and tell them, well, you know what, if you're so hungry, why don't you go out and work at 13? You could be mowing lawns, you could be this, you could be that. I did that when I was your age. And so it was okay to do that to the young boys, but the young girls were protected from that. So even just from that, I most of those boys, I mean, some of them made it out, and they're doing good things now, but a lot of them went through a lot of hell. Alcoholism, jail, selling drugs, whatever, and it was literally because of the environment that was being created for them. And many of them had two-parent households. And the problem was is that the men, old school Caribbean men, like in Jamaica, basically if you were born out of wedlock, you get your mom's name automatically, even if the mom and dad are together. And basically, like, dads are not anything. So if they stay around and take care of you, the second you can take care of yourself, you should get out of their house. And so there was that carryover attitude that was happening. They didn't care what was happening to their boys because you're a man, go take care of you. There is also a lot of other destructive forces that are coming into play. And again, when this is happening to our boys and our young men, and then they get a little bit older, all of society, all of the media, everything, they're seeing someone their age, 12, 13, getting shot for having a toy gun in their hand, and they're hearing the media go, affiliations are currently unknown. You never referred to as a victim. Whereas in, a little white boy the same age would be the victim and his poor grieving parents, and that's not the way we refer to males. We refer to males on the news, all of them are criminals, all of them are suspected gangs, suspected drugs, suspected something. They're not sure what the drug level was in his blood yet.
Yeah,
They
well,
do that
it
to
starts early. It starts very, very
very.
early with black men. And we have just been joined by brother BJ Allen D. And the Darkness Awakens is up in here also. What's good, brothers?
So thanks for having me. I could tell you like this that like I was raised by a two-parent household, but my father was not my late father was not the one, was a nourishing one. He was like straight up from the South, That's how it is and everything. But I think the thing that I appreciate that the sister is really talking, because the way how you break down it, brother, and the sister, our narrative is not really talk about a lot. A lot of people, they always want to talk about the moment, but they really don't go. They really don't understand how we monetize. A lot of people don't, it's like when we talk about this conversation, it's not the conversation not like this. It's always a changing, it's always a revolving door conversation, another conversation. It's like us as black men, we don't count. Like I could tell you like this. I live in Virginia, but I was born and raised in New York. I'm a product of special education. I actually remembered that it was actually West Indian descent and white descent teachers would actually, when we go to lunch, the young girls eat first. And wherever the little boys like myself get it, we get it last. Fights, anything deals with projects, anything else, we always get last. And picture traveling on the school bus, you get picked on. And knowing me, like I know my history kind of well as that young age, I knew it wasn't the kids' fault, because it was really the parents' fault. So picture you go through this for years and years, and you keep on fighting to be in existence, to be, how I say this, to be noticed for your own identity of this racist society that had put you down for years, and you just keep on coming up. But I always know one thing: when my father passed away, he always said, you have to learn to break the cycle. And I think that at times when we want to break the cycle, we don't have nobody. Like the conversations right here is so revealing and so timeless, because that's what we need. Sometimes we need like another brother like say, yo, come on, you can do it. We need a pickup, because it's bad enough we going through a lot of stuff already. Sometimes a black man has a family. Sometimes he wants a wife. Like, I just need you to hold me, because I'm dealing with this racist world. I understand your flight. I get it. I'm with you. But what about mine? So that means that us as black men, we have to suppress our feelings. And sometimes when we suppress our feelings, we go through suicide. We go through suicide thoughts. We go through depression. And then we don't have a safety that we can go to other people in our community to help us, that we can let this emotion out, that I need help, that I want to be important, that I want to provide for my family, that I'm trying, but this system is not letting me. And I'm not saying that I'm putting everything for the system, but we just got to call it as it is.
So let me ask you this, brother. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you were marginalized from a very, very young age, right on up into adulthood? And do you feel like you're still being marginalized right now?
Well, that's a good question. I feel I'm not marginalized all that. I don't feel I'm not marginalized all right now. But do I understand the system right now? Yes. Do I understand what the symbols or what's going on in our system? Yes. I can't run away from it. You know, come on, it's real that I have to pray when I go to work. I hope I get home by 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours later, that I put my key in the door. That is real. I do security. It's real that when I go into the store, there's somebody follow me. That is real. But I don't let it stop me. But at the same time, I'm not going to be dumb to it. No. But we have to surround it by people that understand our flight. And that's all it is.
So what, for the brothers that's watching, the young brothers who may think they're being marginalized. Won't you tell them what you did to fight that, to not be marginalized as you were when you were younger? What did you do to come out of that marginalization? What did you do?
Well, I think for me, what really saved me, I was raised as Jehovah's Witness. I'm no longer part of it, but I believe in the principle. I believe in the higher being, and at the same time, when I was in Brooklyn. When I was very young, I was around Black Panthers, so they teach me about our history, about learn about ourselves. But at the same time, I tell brothers that this: if you feel marginalized, it's okay. Understand it, but learn to break the cycle. But at the same time, never forget it. Always remember that somebody else or another brother is going through it too. Never run away from it, because there are a lot of them. Oh, I'm gonna run away from it. I'm gonna move away. That no, you end of the day, you still black. The sisters, one way or the other, gonna marginalize you, one way or the other. But little by little, trying to break the cycle, and at the same time, be around people that have the same mindset of you, that willing to fight. And I think that's when I learned from my parents, and when I learned from the Black Panther Party when I was younger, is to fight. Never give up. Always fight. Always remember that we never going to be free until all of us as a people globally be free. And I always remember that. So brothers, fight. I urge brother. When anybody said, yo, don't listen, no, listen to me. Fight. You getting marginalized? Yeah, it's not a lie. I understand what you're saying. But little by little, but break the cycle, but never forget it. And always, with your experience, learn to help others. So I'm 51 years old. So my thing is I'm a godfather. So I've helped others and to understand about this system and explain to them that nothing ain't changed. But at the same time, there is a self, there is a greater learning about yourself. So always know about yourself, always study about yourself, always learn about our history, learn about our diverse side of history, learn about the people. We do have examples in the past that people had stand up to white supremacist policy, white supremacist symbols. So don't never be afraid. Stand up to it. Stand firm with it. And be around people that is willing. You will get constructive criticism, but at the same time, have people that are going to be there for you all the time. And I think that's what helped me a lot. And again, like I said, we still go through it. Understand that you're going to go through it. But just try and mimic them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And help out others.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Brother BJ Allen D, man, what's good, brother?
What's up, brother X? I'm glad to be on your platform, man.
Going on, man? You got some words for the people or what?
Yeah, I'm listening to the topic, and I find it very interesting. And I like what where this headed to, because us brothers don't get a voice to speak sometimes. We always feel like even just in our mind, we're marginalized. We're stuck in a place where we can't move too much. And we all know it's mental block, but then it's also um, a social block as well, where you can only hit the ceiling with certain things. So just to add my 2 cents, I've have worked for corporate America where you hit a ceiling as a certain, as a black man, as a man of color, especially, it's just like you can't do certain things. And just even when I was listening to Classic Ruby talking about her family dynamic, I grew up with both of my parents, and they are baby boomers. So even just with them, they marginalize us kids. Half of my siblings is Gen X, and me and my other brother, we are millennials. So in a sense, they want to marginalize us as well, because like you don't want to do too much, but each generation pushes the boundary. And I was thinking about how us men up to this point, how we like saying it's enough. We want to be heard. We want to say what we need to be said. We want to live the way we want to live. You know, we want to speak our mind just as much as our sisters are speaking their minds. And it's almost like it's so funny when you think about it, how when you talk to your mother, your grandmother, it's almost like when you start expressing yourself, it's almost like they're telling you how to feel. And I had a conversation with my mom about that. I'm like, you kind of understand, you sisters don't kind of understand when we're talking and we're saying what we don't like and what we do like, y'all jump in the middle of what we're saying in mid sentence and tell us, no, we're wrong for feeling this way, or no, we're wrong for saying it this way, no, we're wrong for expressing it this way. It's almost like a black man has to be censored to a certain extent to what our sisters like and what they prefer and what they want out of us. And I'm like, wow, like I can't really say what I really want to say without being cut off and expressing totally raw emotions. But I see how how it goes, and I talk to a lot of brothers about that. And they be like, "Yeah, I be trying to express myself," and they tell me, "Nah, I'm wrong about that. No, we're being bullies." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, and so it's kind of funny to see all these brothers from all different aspects talk about the same issues that they're having way on the other side of the United States, and I'm way over here in California. So it's kind of funny to hear all this hoopla on the internet from men talking about it.
Yeah, because you got to think, man. I mean, think about it for the past 50 years. And I know me, I'm in my 40s, okay?
Hmm.
I'm in my 40s. I had my kids when I was very young. I had my kids when I was a
Hmm.
teenager. Before I was like 20 years old, I already had two. Okay.
Hmm.
I met a woman. I thought me and her was going to get married. We had four kids together, but somehow we never
Hmm.
ended up getting married. So we shacked. They call it shacking. Okay, that's what they called
Yeah.
it back then, shacking.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, her and I we shacked for many many years, and we had four kids while we were shacking,
Hmm.
and we eventually grew apart. All right, I don't have kids all over the place. I got one baby mama.
Hmm.
All right,
Right.
one baby mama. All my kids are with the same woman, and they're all grown now. Okay, and when you think about the type of family structures, the type of societal structures that we had, say 50, 60 years ago, they were different. Why? Because back then the man did have a voice. The man did have a leadership role, and it was
Hmm.
hard to marginalize the black man because the only people who were marginalizing the black man was the white power structure.
Right.
That one entity was
Hmm.
trying to marginalize the black man. And
Hmm.
like I said earlier, you hardly ever get marginalized by one person. You
Hmm.
usually get marginalized by a collective.
Right.
So now in modern times, not only is the white power structure in government and society and politics and policies
Hmm.
trying to marginalize you, people who look just like you are trying to
Right.
marginalize you too. Black women are trying to
Hmm.
marginalize you. The everything is trying to marginalize you now. Now it's
Yeah.
a collective. So now black men have to be even stronger than they ever had to be, you know,
Hmm.
to get away from it. Because I know when I was a
Hmm.
young guy, I got a lot of trouble and shit, got locked up and all this kind of bullshit. Uh, it
Hmm.
took me a while, man, to grow up. It took me a while to
Hmm.
grow up. Me having kids didn't even make me grow up because I had
Hmm.
them so young. That didn't make me
Right.
grow up. I mean, I didn't grow up really till I turned about 38. To be honest
Right.
with you, I didn't start to grow up till I was about 37, 38 years old. That's when I
Hmm.
that's when I feel like I truly became a man. In my mind, I don't know what everybody else thought of me, but in
Right.
my mind, that's when I thought I truly became a man. That's when I started doing the shit I needed to do for me. That's when I started doing the shit I know I needed to do for my kids.
Hmm.
That's when I started doing the shit that I knew was going to advance my life and be a
Hmm.
man for me,
Hmm.
not for my kid's mother, not for my kids, not
Hmm.
for society, not for my parents or whatever broad I'm dating.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
it was for me. I
Hmm.
became a man for me. And when I
Right.
became a man for me, everything else fell in line.
Right. And it's
Because
good
see,
that you said that.
Because see,
I,
sometimes we fall victims to that
mhm.
marginalization, and we try to be a man for everyone else except ourselves, brothers. Go
And
ahead.
it's good you said that because I was enjoying what you were saying. We sometimes live for others outside of ourselves. And I tell young men at in my local church, and I talk to them about it because it's this disdain that I heard a person talk about this. Gen X was the experiment generation. So a lot of them have a lot of disdain for fathers and a lot of disdain for male figures. And that's why we see the such feminines in men. I'm like, bruh, you as a man, why is you caping for their flight? I'm like, bruh, you need to speak up for yourself. How do you feel about certain things? And a lot of men don't know how to even tap into their themselves. They be like, well, I don't know how I feel. I've been told to feel this way for so many years, and it's like, bruh, I'm like, you need to link up with your dad. You need to link up with an older man and have a talk with them about how you can become a man. Because a lot of them think it's money, cars, and clothes. Even just from my generation, as a millennial, we grew up on seeing bling bling. That makes you a man if you have this amount of money, and if you don't have that money, you ain't nothing. You like the TLC song says, I don't want no scrub. So they thinking that, oh, if I do this, that, and the third, I have the finest woman. She got to be a dime, and I if this, that, and the third. It's all external things. Their character is like a child. They haven't built up anything, and so they think that's all manhood. But I tell them, I'm like, no, look within yourself. What do you feel about yourself? How do you think you can grow from this point? Because if the money runs out, then you saying your manhood is spent up. It's gone. it I could be the brokest person right now and still know that I'm a man at the end of the day. I could be living with my mama and still know that I'm a man at the end of the day because I know I can get back up on my feet and leave if I need to. So you hear all these different talking points about, oh, this is what manhood is, this is what manhood is, this is what manhood is that, and all this and third. And I'm like, no, if you build your character, you're mentally strong, you know how to survive on your own 2 feet, you don't depend on nobody, you can raise a family, all these things that's internal, then you are a man. But we don't never hear these talking points because we've been told to think this, we've been told to say that, we've
From
been
the
told to
damn
walk like that.
from the damn noise machine. What people don't understand is that your manhood isn't between your legs, man. It's between your ears.
Thank you.
Brother
Preach.
Gemini, what's good, man?
How y'all doing, man? I was just I'm new here, and I've been hearing a
Welcome,
lot of
brother.
people say
Welcome.
come on over, and I just happened to been scrolling and when I came in, I heard what y'all was saying about being marginalized and all of this type of thing. Um, my daughter just came to visit me today from college and everything, and I can put it to you like this to just back up and solidify what y'all saying. My daughter thinks that Bill Cosby actually did it, and she just turned 21 on the 11th. And I was trying to explain different things to her about how the buildup came to when they were coming after Cosby from when he tried to get NBC in the first place. And then they knocked him down. And then the woman came out and said she had a daughter or a kid by him, and that was debunked. Then he tried to do something else for black media. Then the son got killed. Then the Netflix thing. And I just kept trying to tell her, like, and I was just telling her a whole lot of different things. I mean, she wasn't hip to the Tiffany Jolene thing. And so with me saying that, it's going to be it's going to be like trying to climb a mountain with skis on to try to tell these people and really get them to see what's going on. Because see, my daughter, man, she's kind of like, you know, everybody needs to, get a pass and all of this. And I'm not saying about all these like sexual allegations and all this coming out. I'm not going to say all the women are lying, but it's just so many women. It's just so many. And then I said it to my daughter. I said, I can tell you one thing without a shadow of a doubt. most of these women that's coming out saying it, they unattractive. And then I said most of the accused are white men. Well, you shouldn't say that. And this, I said, but it is what it is. She was my words and make me talk like I'm talking in absolutes.
Are you saying that the women are fugly uglies, brother Gemini? Are you saying that?
What I'm basically is saying is this. Most of these women that are coming out across these men, even when they came from a boy Charlie Groves, which pissed me off because I watched that program since it very first started. That was my favorite news program. Gail and the other woman always would flirt with him, talk about how he's sexy, woo, 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 and this, that, and the other. And then Gail is just so strong against it. He doesn't get a pass. He doesn't get that. Well, we know she's not going to give him a pass. She's a flat cocker. She's a carpet muncher.
Oh shit!
But no one says. And then what's her name on The View? The Jewish lady that was engaged to a guy for however long. Well, how did Charlie Rose think that it was appropriate? He's like 70 and she's like 25 or 30. No one said anything about Mick Jagger having kids. He damn near 1,000 years old. No one said nothing about Billy Joel. They praised him last week for having a kid.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like they're picking and choosing. Now, I'm not going to say that women weren't done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am saying is this. We can even fast forward up to now. Now you got Gabrielle Douglas for the Olympic team, these Olympiads. They talking about that they vajayjay was penetrated. I guess a finger slipped up in there or something or whatever. Okay, I wasn't there. But here's my thing. Just like I tried to tell my daughter, you got men, like it's some older men, say they like 65, 68, 70. They saying that happened to them when they was 14. Okay, and they may be white men. I can understand that because at that time it was a different dynamic about some homosexuality type shit. But now today, especially for a young black man, and if something is being done to him now and he comes out 10, 15, 20 years later, the only thing that registered in my mind is that he liked that shit. Because for one, anyone that's on here listening, I'm not talking bad about people wanting to be gay and wanting to do all that. If you want a sword fight, if you want a flat top, that's your business. But I'm going to keep it 100. If you are a black person and you sitting down and you ain't said nothing, that means you like that shit. Because, see, I'm 43. Back in the day, I remember the episode of Different Strokes when Arnold and Dudley went to the bookie parlor. And old boy that ran the shop was from WKRP in Cincinnati. And he took Dudley's shirt off because Arnold left and left him. They don't do that anymore in the schools, people. Do y'all realize what I'm telling you? They don't do that. They don't have the police no more. They don't have stranger danger talks anymore.
Nope.
Everything is accepted. And even the school buildings that they go into, if you look at it, if you could fly a drone over the top of these schools, you know what they look like. You know how they made and laid out. They look like penitentiaries. The only thing missing, but it's all conditioning. I'm up here fooling around with these pots and pans for Thanksgiving. On 45, they had what's that show? Star with Queen Latifah. I never watched the first season, but I had the TV down there and I said, I'm gonna have this plan. Girl crying, crying, crying. I'm like, damn, who is that girl crying? Queen Latifah on the phone. It's a girl getting her hair braided like a teenager. She getting her hair braided by a gay, the big ass black gorilla looking dude, gay. Then as the show went on, they picked up one of, I guess, Queen Latifah's daughters from jail. And then everybody, the whole peanut gallery down there. And I'm just looking at this shit like, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. They're reinforcing in the minds of people who aren't black, this is how we act. Then Queen Latifah had a wig on, looked like a Fisher Price piece of plastic hair. On one scene,
well, you know,
she takes the shit. Listen, the next scene, she had two braids on her hair. I'm like, well, damn, why would she wear hair like that? As soon as I said that, she got a wig, bruh, pulled it on her head. And then Jamal from Empire and the other loudmouth chick was on the show. So they marrying the two shows. So it's going to be hard. Listen, it's going to be hard pressed to get these people and these women and some of these men to actually grab hold of what y'all was talking about when I even came in here. This is fucking mind conditioning at its finest. And for real, it's already in effect. You see what Trump did? He put the damn sexual predator man up in the motherfucking just to keep a Democrat out.
Well,
you know?
This is the thing, man. I mean, you know, and what's up, Maxwell up in here?
But I appreciate y'all letting me say what I had to say, but I just want to listen, man.
Absolutely. Everybody's always welcome here up on old TPOT, man. That's how we do things up in here. It's all part of the system, man. It's all part of the conditioning. Because think about it. We're not, when you see this stuff on television, that's why I don't watch a lot of television, man. I don't really watch a lot of TV at all. I really don't. And because you see on television, man, they make it painfully obvious that within black society, that the black man is not only does the black man pay a tiny position in black society, he's damn near invisible. And if he's there, he's effeminate. All right? If he is visible, he's effeminate as hell. So that is the thing that they want you to see. They want you to see, and they don't just show it to other folks. They don't just indoctrinate other folks that, hey, this is how black people are. They are also indoctrinating us, brothers and sisters.
For real,
they are
for real.
Indoctrinating us with that shit that this is what you are.
For real, what I saw on TV today, y'all wouldn't believe it if I told you, but I was looking at, I don't know if it was The View or something like that, and they were talking to Channing Tatum's old lady, okay? They were showing video clips of the many times his white ass was up in a dress with lipstick and everything on. You understand? The same white man that all these people was hooping and hollering about, that movie where the men were stripping in. So they started with the black man because they got to start with us, because they're going to make us the boogeyman first. We the foundation. But what I've been telling my daughter and everything, and she just want to give all guy and the gay shit a pass and everything, and she's heterosexual, she got a boyfriend. But what they're trying to do is this, man. It's getting ready to get to the place where a man can't even fucking be a man nowhere. You're gonna have to fucking go to the moon. People act like they forgot. Women reporters couldn't wait. They made a big ass shit about getting in these locker rooms, these professional sports locker rooms. Once they got up in there, what's the first thing they did? They're in there walking around naked. They're talking about this and that.
You wouldn't have even known that shit if you would have just interviewed them on the court, on the rink, on the field, like you've been doing. No, you
Yeah.
want to get up in there and be nosy. Now you want the men to filter themselves because you got your stinking ass up in there.
Oop.
I ain't never seen
Yeah,
no, I ain't never seen no man reporters in the history of television when they had women sports wanting to be in women's locker rooms. And even if they tried,
oh, that's a good point.
society will
Yeah.
say, society will
No.
say, you can't be in there. You can't do that. But why
You
is
can't
it
even be
men?
right. You can't even be nearby there. You
Exactly.
I used to play
Listen,
sports.
they
I
want
know.
men to bite the
You can't
bullet.
even be nearby there.
Right. They want
I'm
men to
sorry.
bite the bullet, glass, whatever. Go ahead, classic. Is that classic?
Okay. Yes, it is. Hi.
What's it?
And
Hi.
I'm going to say something that I said in response to your video, Gemini. I think that
About
it's
what?
relevant here. The Charlie Rose video.
Oh, okay.
I commented in your comment section.
Oh, I didn't
So,
even know that. Thank you, sweetie. I ain't no
oh, you're
big
welcome.
I ain't no YouTuber, but thank you.
Oh, I watch your stuff. So the thing is that what I said was I believed I read the allegations against him, and you know what? I believe they happened.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. In my opinion, and this is the problem, is that women are teaching people how to treat them, and then 30 years later, they're saying, I was abused and it's wrong. Because my thing is, right, is that, I mean, I'm a woman, so I can tell you that probably a lot more than you guys are aware of, there is sexual harassment and sexual assault. As far as people touching you when you don't appreciate it and, you know, saying things that are really, really inappropriate for the workplace and putting you in awkward positions.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you make a choice every time it happens how you're going to respond to that. To hang your head in shame and hide in the corner and be like, oh my God, or, you know, laugh it off and flirt back because you think that's what you have to do? Or are you going to draw a line and say, like, no, this is not going to be acceptable? And so for me, that has always been my response, has always been to very loudly and comically make sure that I point out what just happened and that it's not going to happen again. Like I don't sit
Right.
there and yell and scream or whatever. I just like I'll clown you for it. Like, you know, like, sorry, my ass isn't public domain, so no, you're not allowed to touch it without my permission. Like, I'll say something like that, right? And I'll say it very loudly enough that everyone around heard, so that way, you know, I'm not going to be the person that's going to sit there silently and allow you to grope me or whatever and make my workplace an uncomfortable place for me to be. So my issue with a lot of these women is that they're saying, like, the allegations are something like, oh, well, we were in a car and he put his hand on my leg. I didn't make him move his hand, but it was the worst car ride ever with his hand on my leg, and I
And
never
she
got into a
kept
car with him
riding
again.
with it on there.
Right? No,
Yeah.
like seriously, I
Because
believe that
I
happened, right? And and this is the problem. I believe that happened. And you know what he was doing? He was testing the waters. You're right. That's
Yep.
exactly what he was doing because that's what men
right.
Yep.
do. They test the
Yep. Of
waters to see,
course.
are you interested or no? And
Yeah.
when you tell them, nah, move his hand and be like, why is your hand there? Or something like that, he
A
moves his
real
hand,
G
it
will
never happens
recognize
again.
that. A real
Exactly.
man will
Right.
recognize that. I just think that this women of today, especially of today, in the 90s, it really wasn't that bad. In the 2000s, it started to come on when women was starting to act like, oh, they don't like sex like men and this. But listen, I worked in healthcare for 8 years. I worked in settings where there was predominantly women. And when women get in their circles, they talk more shit than 100 dump trucks can haul down the street, or
Preach.
than a million trash trucks can take to a landfill. Not one time, what they were over there talking about and saying offended me to make me say, oh, it made me feel like this. But yet, and still at the same time, a lot of women, I'm not going to say all, some, I don't speak in absolutes. they want you to treat them dainty or respect them and stuff. How in the fuck? I just saw a video where Ashanti cursed the audience out for throwing money on stage, talking about I'm not no fucking stripper, but you're up there mock stripping. I seen Ashanti and hadn't seen Ashanti in all the years I've known her to sing it. I've never seen her with her ass out like that. Shit, if I had a couple of loose ones, I probably would have threw one up there to her.
Yep, I'm editing a video on that. There's strippers on the TV above her throwing money at the strippers. That's what's on the TV above her. And then she's mad when she's doing it that people are throwing money.
You can't have it both ways. Just today on Jerry Springer, they had a chick on there. She was called the pole assassin. And she was an assassin on the pole. But what ended up happening, she came all the way to Chicago or wherever Jerry Springer doing it now to draft one out of two chicks to take under her wing so she can show them. But come to find out, she like women. So what I'm saying is this. They are trying to do away with men. I said this shit in the 90s. When a woman turns to you out of the blue and say, hey, I want to, whatever it is, I want a bag of loud. I need $30 on my electric bill. Whatever. You know what I used to tell them back in the day, but I don't even tell them no more. I don't tell them nothing no more. I just say, oh, do you? I need some money myself. But what I used to tell them then, you need to go in that closet and go in that paper bag or get in that towel or go in your nightstand and get that rubber dick out there and ask it to give you $30. Since you act like you don't want no man and you don't need no man, take that rubber dick to the goddamn movies. And don't just play for yourself. You open that purse and say, I'm paying for two. Since you want to act like you don't need no man. Now, I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm just being for real. Since you want to act like that, because women will jump up in the saddle quicker than John Wayne did in the Western movies and talk about, I got a vibrator. I got a rubber dick. Well, take it to the movies. No. Ask that rubber dick or that electronic dick to drive you to work. Pay for this. Fix this leaky pipe. Yeah. I'm sick of this shit. I said this shit in the 90s, man. I swear to God I did.
Get that dildo. Get that dildo to change your life.
And what they trying to do, and I'm telling you, gentlemen, man. I'm telling you, what they trying to do is they trying to make it to where you don't know what the fuck it is you fucking with in the first place. In California, they teaching kindergartners about transsexualism and books.
Oh,
they got it.
Fucking God. I hate that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what? In Virginia, check it out, brothers and sisters. In Virginia, where I'm at, of the Democrat Party, they just elected a transgender
two of
in
them.
a delegation of the Democrat Party.
One of them white and one of them is black.
Yep.
One of them black. That's in Minneapolis.
Right. That's what I'm hip to. I'm hip to it, but I know about the one in Virginia. So what they're gonna do? So what they're gonna do when they have when they go to the House of Representatives or have the Senate meetings? Which toilet is the motherfucker from Virginia gonna use?
Yeah.
And if the women, and if it, listen, you're gonna have some women that's gonna support it, like, yay.
It's a whole lot of
they made a break. Right. But what about the ones that don't support it? Why won't these motherfuckers stand up and say something?
The media is not talking about them. For the last 3 years in Virginia, this is facts brothers and sisters. I've been living in Virginia
Right.
for over 5 years. They've been having schools practice homosexuality of kindergarten.
Right. Right. You heard what I just told you.
And the
You can
media
look
is
it
not
up.
talking about it. The media don't want to talk about it.
Well, any woman
God.
that stands against this kind of stuff, I mean, and we see it here on the media, brothers. All right, and I'm pretty sure that the classic one, she goes through this too. If any woman gets up there and exhibits any logic, any logic that points towards the way of men or is male leaning, they will be skewered. Okay, they will be skewered. They will be skewered, hung out to dry, because see, they expect, because the bulk of women follow this nonsense. They follow this gynocentric matriarchal ideology.
We don't have man places anymore, man.
No.
And I'm gonna say this for real. It started to, I'm gonna say about 96 on into the turning of the millennium, 2000. Dudes start taking women to the strip clubs with them because women was insecure. They start doing that shit. Then when you fast forward, when you go to barbershops, women taking their kids to the barbershops by themselves, you could be cool with the first two lead barbers, but you could be in there talking man shit. But when she come in there, they want you to kiss up, filter your tongue. You can't even talk like a man in the shop because the barber is trying to get him a slice of the cake over there. It's just too much fucking caking going on. Men don't know how to be a damn man. They hell what these people thinking.
Right. That's true.
Stand up on your own and grow you a pair and put on a jockey strap and say, fuck you, man.
Goddamn right. And I'm gonna quote my boy Valdez, because the last time he was on the stream with me, he said something that I thought was very prolific. He said, inappropriate is a female term. And we've gotten to the point now where every damn thing that a man says, what he wears, how he sits on the train, how he acts, whatever he does is considered inappropriate for some reason. They have made it in society now that being a man, period, is inappropriate. If
you can't say or do nothing manly, you can't be a man, and then
it's inappropriate.
Laquan just said earlier in the chat that apparently they're banning hugging in Boy Scouts, so that way they can teach the children, the little boys from very young, that they're not allowed to touch people, even just to hug them. Like, what is wrong with our society when children are allowed to hug each other?
Next thing you know, they're gonna be teaching young boys that it's wrong for them to get an erection.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you know what?
That's coming.
I'm serious. I'm serious.
That's coming.
Do y'all remember that movie, Judge Dredd? It predicted that years ago. You remember when that scene with him and Sandra Bullock, they were going to have sex? So she said, "Oh, we're going to have sex." So she put the thing over their heads.
You Demolition Man.
Yeah, Demolition Man. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Demolition Man. And so when he put the thing on, he took the thing off. He was like, "Okay." And she said, "Wasn't it intense?" He said, "Yeah, but I'm with the old school stuff."
Yeah,
and he went and she was like, "Oh my goodness!" But that's what feminists is leading us to. It's to this virtual.
I'm trying to tell you, man. Just 2.5 weeks ago on the talk, I forgot which football team did something. It's a woman. She broke the ceiling. She's like up there, like coordinating or something. So, what's the black lady's name? I can't think of her name right now. That she's on the talk or up there with her. But she said maybe one day, this is good. Maybe one day women can coach NFL teams. No, the fuck you can't. You can't. The fuck out of here. Who the hell you gonna get to coach them? What woman even if she's gay, can coach and can motivate an NFL to tell these men some shit?
Well,
None.
None
I'm
of
going
them.
to tell you, brothers, this, man, because this is what I really think. What's going to happen is this. There, we live in a society now where females get to dictate the pace of what a man is supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do.
Right.
I was talking to my lady about this earlier today because we was looking at, the women up there. They were, they were bitching and moaning, and they were talking about Charlie Rose. And look, I said it's going to be to a point that if you say hi to a woman,
Mm-hmm.
if she's not receptive to your hi, she's gonna run and cry foul and say you were
Best
harassing
believe
her.
that.
You were
Mm-hmm.
sexually
Yep. It's
molesting her.
Hey,
You were sexually, you were trying to get at her. You assaulted her sexually or emotionally. Because if she's not receptive to that hello, if she's not receptive to that how you doing, she can easily turn around and say, oh, he was harassing me, he was
Exactly.
trying to come on to me, he was
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and it will be believed. And if you do it within the confine of your workplace, you can mess around and be fired. But
Right.
But you
yeah.
know who been saying that? You know who been saying exactly what you just said for the last, I'm gonna say the last, being generously, I'm gonna say the last year. And nobody never really paid any attention. Mr. Research said the same shit. He said the same damn thing. That they got people up there, women in power, trying to make laws
Mm-hmm.
to pass. So if you do just like how you said, but see, dudes didn't even wake up when they made the cat call video.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Thank
see,
you.
in the cat,
Thank
because
you.
see, in the cat call video, everybody sided with the woman that was making the video, but what they failed to realize was what kind of picture was painted. It was
Mm-hmm.
only black dudes doing that shit in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Can I speak
Okay?
on that?
It was only black men. Yes, go right ahead.
go ahead,
Hello?
cats. What's good?
Oh, I thought that was
Good
Cass. How you
evening.
doing, sweetie?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. How are you, Gemini? Brother
I'm
X,
cool.
Hey,
Classic,
Lady
Cats,
Cat.
JC, baby,
what's going
BJ.
on, cats? You got some words for the
Um,
brothers or what?
well, I just want to tell y'all to keep up the fight because it's getting ridiculous out here. I saw earlier today on Baby Boomer's channel, he was talking about some tweet that this feminist uh was talking about. She said, "I don't care if a few innocent men get taken down if it means dismantling the patriarchy."
Mm-hmm.
What?
And my whole thing
Yep.
is, if you dismantle the so-called patriarchy, what are you going to replace it with? Because I wouldn't want somebody as uh, unstable as she sounds to be like leading the country, like,
Mm-hmm.
or leading people in general.
Yeah.
But like with the cat call video, one thing that my grandfather pointed out when he was still living, he said, "Why is this girl wearing spandex
Mm-hmm.
street
To get attention.
and like really, really tight clothing when
Brothers,
they walk
brothers,
down the
hold on,
street?"
cats. Hold on, cats. Brothers, mute your mic. If you're not speaking, mute your mic because we're getting a lot of background noise. Mute your mic, brothers.
All right.
Go ahead, cats.
And he also, my grandfather also pointed out that like uh, a lot of the guys that were supposedly following this girl in the cat call video, they could have just been walking in the same direction as her because it is New York where everybody, walks everywhere. Like, they walk most places.
New York
So,
is a pedestrian thick place at all times, the day and night. I've been there one time. I would
yeah,
visit, but nah, I wouldn't live there. No
yeah.
way.
I've been there a couple of times. But Yeah. I I'm just like, you're not even letting people explain their side of the story. Like, you're sitting up here with the catcall video trying to make it seem like black men harassing people a whole bunch on the street, and you don't even know if these guys are really even following this girl. They could have just been walking in the same direction. And
Uh,
yeah, that's basically mostly what I have to say about it.
you know, but
See, like,
uh,
I
it, you you know what? That another thing people be ignoring about that cat call. It's not cat calling for me to say,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, how you doing today, beautiful? Hey, how you having a good morning, love? Okay, have a great day." That's not cat calling. That's not
Cat
me.
calling to me would be like if somebody said, "Hey, sugar tits" or something, like something really outlandish, you know?
Exactly. Oh god
Like if
damn, she
it
got a
was
fat
just
ass.
like
Woo.
something really crude, I could understand being offended. But if it's like, "Hi, how are you?" I mean, that's how people greet each other all the time.
But
Like
it's
that,
getting
like
like
it's
to me
getting to
that
the
they're
point.
all hypocrites and they're all confused because you're gonna dress sexy so that way you can be
Say it.
perceived as attractive, and then you don't want anybody to notice or comment on the fact that you're attractive. Or like with
Mm-hmm.
Lena Dunham or whatever, she doesn't want to be objectified by any man. She sits next to a black man inside of the theater and then writes this whole entire post about how offended she is that she's not found attractive by him. Like he just looked
She's
at
a
her and said, "Ew, she's
racist.
ugly." So
She's
like
been a
oh God,
racist.
do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's so like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you guys are
okay,
hypocrites. Pick a
Yeah.
side. Either you
Lena.
want to
Yeah.
be unattractive or you want to be attractive. And if you are attractive, men are going to notice you and then they're going to call out to you. They might, if they're saying horrible things like, "Oh, let me, lick your cunt or something." Okay, I understand. But if all they're doing is going, "Damn, girl, look at the ass on you." Smile and keep it moving.
I got a great
Yeah.
example to back up what
Yeah.
you said. When Wendy Williams said Gilbert Gottfried
She lied. She lied right then
fondled
and
her,
there.
and I remember when that shit happened. Because like I said, even if it's some shows I don't like to watch, I watch because I'm looking at body language, I'm looking at cues, I want to
Mm-hmm.
see whatever. Just like I looked at the
Uh-huh.
music award the
Mm-hmm.
other night. But anyways, she turns after she says this shit day before yesterday and said, and you guys saw it and y'all didn't say nothing. How the fuck are you gonna troll the actual audience right there when
Mm-hmm.
you decide to come out? They wasn't in the fucking audience when it happened. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the shit
Man.
happened, why the fuck didn't you say anything? And then third of all, what the fuck you get on them plastic tits and everything for? You had more ass or whatever, plastic ass then. Now your ass is built like an upside down ice cream cone. You look like
Damn.
clay. You look like Clayface. You look like Clayface from
I
Batman
can't
with a
take it.
wig on for real.
With a wig on.
If
Oh
you
But
if
she
you
shoot.
she
get
worked it out the
Clayface
makeup.
from the animated series, do a split screen, look at her and look at she looks like
On the
Clayface.
animated
And
series.
now
This
and
nigga said with
now
the animated series.
and now all of a sudden, fam, you talking about somebody fucking around you. Or could it possibly be that your husband was caught out in the street with another
Oh
bitch
shit.
that's allegedly supposed to be pregnant? He got him a side piece.
Oh yeah,
Wendy Williams or Wendell Williams' ass is keener than the eye of a needle when you got a thread and needle. Her ass
Oh
ain't even as wide as the
no.
hole that you put the thread through.
oh
No
Mm.
man want that shit.
Yeah,
Not
Gemini.
even
I don't blame her.
Hercules. Not
I don't
even
blame her.
baby
Husband was cheap.
Hercules want that
Wendy
ass.
Williams and her fucked up marriage.
But
Like,
my thing is
can I?
this: she want people to feel sorry for her after she trolled people.
Yeah.
How did she make her living and then gonna say she was new on TV? Bitch, you a lie. You was on VH1 for years trolling
yep.
people.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And can I?
but let me
Like
hush
she
my mouth,
attacked.
Can
man.
she attacks black
Go
couples
ahead, brother.
because. Oh, sorry.
Who trying to get
No,
in?
no, no, no. Go ahead.
No,
I'll
no,
let
no.
her finish.
I was just gonna hush my mouth because I don't want it to seem like I
Well, I'll
come in
just
here and
say
I'm just
one
kidnapping
thing.
the panel, but she need her ass whooped. And somebody put in Mr. Superboy's thing. I don't know no man that would say he would hit Wendy Williams. I think I put like shit. I would. I hit her in the face with a brick. So
Damn.
Damn.
Oh God.
Damn.
that'll be an improvement. And a better improvement will be a cinder block. I can't stand. I can't stand. Listen, I can't stand somebody like her always talking about some motherfucking body else. Bitch, you just passed out on stage wearing
You know what?
3 and 4 layers of hair.
She's gotten rich doing that shit, man.
Yeah, she did. And I don't
Right,
fault her
but
at all.
she need to count her money and shut the fuck up. I told you the bitch looked like Clayface.
But my issue with her is,
She's gotten rich doing the shit,
yeah,
man.
my issue with her is if she played
that's true.
fair,
Yep.
then I wouldn't mind it as much if she, everybody, gossips a little bit and talks about certain issues that we weren't there about. But my thing is, you need to be fair as well. You need to say, you know what, my husband do have a side piece, and we cool about it. But don't play like we're crazy. We don't see pictures with his 10-year side piece. Come on now, we ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Be fair. Don't be a hypocrite.
50% checked the shit out of her ass though, talking shit.
He sure did. She is ugly.
And that bitch came back in less than a week and apologized on air. I was like, God damn.
And I guarantee her husband still have that side piece too. I guarantee that.
I think it's a threesome that went wrong.
Her husband, all
No, ain't no threesome with that. No, not Wendy Williams. Not Farface. No, not Farface.
She got enough money for it though.
You ain't lying.
But he
She be attacking other couples because her marriage is messed up and her son is out here passing out from synthetic weed.
Right.
Oh wow. Money buys a lot of shit, but it doesn't buy happiness.
He only gonna be 5 days older than Sanjay. And when Paulette dude was fucking with Sanjay, if Whitney Williams got a side piece, I guarantee you he only gonna be 5 days older than Sanjay was.
And you know what? We talk about the symptoms of the catcalling and all this feminist stuff, but the root cause of it is when you take fathers out the household. If you rewind it all the way back to the 40s, and you strategically use black people as I always say we use as guinea pigs for anything. So when you destroyed our community to see how it looks for everyone in America, so and for our young men, how they are so programmed, like you could see them doing something. I remember when I was a kid, my dad was like, "That's just TV, boy. We don't do that in real life. That's just entertainment. That's what But if you got a kid that don't have no man speaking to them without an emotional attachment to it, you always gonna get touchy-feely. That's how real life is. You see the young girls watch Atlanta Housewives and they think that's real. And I'm like, girl, she just filed bankruptcy 2 days ago and you still think she rich? And she's like, yeah, she rich. Yeah, she just filed bankruptcy because I'm like, you living in La La Land. That woman don't have no money.
As long as
I'm like, you crazy. I'm like, but they believe it because it's on TV.
Yeah,
and TV told them it's reality.
They've been taught, man. But a lot of times in these situations, man, especially because one thing about men, we bring reality and I'm gonna let y'all know every time y'all talk,
right.
You see yourself up here on my screen when I talk. Oh, wow. But anyway, a lot of times when a man is in a house, when a man is in somewhere, he brings balance and he brings reality. See, a lot of times these women, they bring on the fantasy, like the brother said, the touchy-feely shit, this imaginary fucking world, And the reason why this is done, brothers and sisters, is because see, fantasy is easier to manage. See,
Right.
life you have to manage. You know what I'm saying? Life is hard to manage at times and all that shit. When it's a fantasy, man, it's so easy to manage because when it's fantasy, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be a star. You can be an athlete. You can be a singer. You can be a dancer. You can be a performer. You can do all this shit. It's easier to manage. You know, when you create a personality, it's easier to manage that personality. You know what's hard? You know what's hard? Managing you.
It's so many.
Yes.
It's so many struggle. It's so many struggle rappers. Want to be models out here, and that's easy. That's easy to do, and then actually putting in the work, the legwork, the network, the having what can I say? Be a sociable person. A lot of people, they don't even know how to socialize with people. So how can you be all this fantasy stuff, what we're talking about, when you don't even know how to talk with people in the first fucking place? You fake as hell.
And that's where Dad's come.
I've never seen so many black women. As long as I've been living, I ain't never seen a black woman whose hair grew naturally out of her head, out of the top of their head, and it's automatically got a part in the middle. But nowadays, you have so many women out here with their hair parted down the middle that you can pull a 67 Cadillac up in there and park. I ain't bullshitting. It's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, I try not to talk too much over anyone's head. I just try to simplify things. It's ridiculous. It's sad. Hey there, Gigi.
Hey, what's up?
Let the woman on the past say something.
What's good, WOTP? I see you down
I love
there.
her voice.
Thank you. Go ahead. So what is the solution now?
No, all I was saying was, first of all, men will never be able to get to the latitude of what today's black woman want us to be. Nobody's calling Jennifer Hudson now. She talking about she felt threatened because he had a gun with a holster up there. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, please.
David Ortunga is strong enough to go in anybody's house on this panel, and you probably with it loaded. If you put the right apparatus on the side where he can grip it, he can pick that refrigerator up and put it on his shoulders. He don't need no gun to hurt that woman.
Exactly.
And if she did get custody of their son,
she don't have it.
And it's documented that he was the primary caretaker. Let's just say, for shits and giggles, she did. Who's going to see about it? I hope it ain't going to be the sister that's the cause of her mama, brother, and nephew being killed.
That's true.
See, Jennifer Hudson.
That's not what they saying.
Jennifer Hudson is hard-headed. See, she should have got her mama on up out of there, period. Give a fuck what she talking about. Living down there wherever the hell they was living.
The south side.
That's right. That's right. And get them away.
And
we don't even have to go that far.
We know the story behind that. I'm not going to say that. But
we don't even have to go that far. But we know everybody on this panel knows a girl or young woman tied up with some damn gorilla that's not fit for her. But you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them shit.
They love that dude.
A gorilla who doesn't fit with her? What do you mean?
I said a gorilla. When I say the term gorilla, when I say the term gorilla, I'm not talking down bad on black men. When I say the term gorilla, I mean a man that ain't worth a shit. Exactly. He just out here doing whatever he want. And most women love all that shit until the shit get too thick. Then they want to thin out and then want to implement you and they shit.
But see, this is the thing. This is the thing about it. But when you bring stuff up like that, it's always deflection. Just like the brother was talking about an hour ago. That when we talk about how we feel, when we talk about when we see things in reality, like the prophet was saying, it's always deflecting. It's always the conversations are always changing, and that is the problem.
They don't want to listen, man.
Well, let me ask you, brother, something. The way things are now, we all know, everybody up here except for the three ladies that's on the panel, all of us are black men, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Do you brothers believe that the reason why this shit has become this way is because we played some part of it too, because we've allowed this shit. We've allowed some of this shit to happen to us, y'all.
That's what I said.
Allowed this shit to take place.
It started when men wasn't satisfied. They wanted to bring women into man places. They wanted to bring extra women into the bedroom with a woman. And I know it's ladies on here, but listen, I'm going to just be frank, even though my government name is Reggie.
The OG code?
You ain't got but one pipe hanging in between your legs. So if you had 50 women in the bed, you can't put your pipe in one of them but one at a time. So what good is it doing? The best thing my father ever told me in my life, and my father wasn't shit for me, but he told me at about 12, 13, he said, son, I'm going to tell you like this. The key is you never had no pussy problem. If they bring them in by the boatload and they all want you, that ain't no problem. If you're standing on the bank of on the shoreline or the bank of the lake or nothing, and ain't a ship coming in without nothing, it ain't no problem. The point is, you don't have no pussy problem. And these Negroes out here act like, and you got a fool out here right now act like he can't lay down and go to sleep unless a woman is in his bed. These people are ate up in the mind like somebody poured acid on their brain. I'm serious, man. I'm dead ass serious. You cannot, you shall not, you should not let women have the inkling of knowing, even if that's the way you feel. Stop letting these people know everything, because they ain't gonna tell you shit. They'll throw a rock at a glass house. For the rock hit the window, they'll hide their hand behind their back and walk away like they ain't done shit. And all of us don't been through it, man. All of us. If you don't mess with enough women, you don't experience this crap.
But BG Allen D is young. He can say what's going on right now.
Well, what was the question you asked again?
I think she was calling me BG. My name ain't BG. I'm not BG.
Oh, you're Gemini.
I'm Gemini.
She talking to me.
No, she's saying, yeah, BJ Allen D's younger, so he'll say what's going on here. Yeah, she just foreign.
BJ can explain it better.
Did we play a part in it?
Yeah. What's going on today?
Yes.
What's going on today is we're seeing the symptoms of what happened back before, a little bit before the civil rights movement. We're seeing how black men gave their power away.
I know. I'm talking about the 90s.
The 90s. What do you mean?
How old are you?
Huh?
If I'm asked, how old are you?
You asked me how old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 30.
Okay, so you were 20 in the 90s.
No, I was 20 in
No.
2000.
More like it's
BJ barely scraped the 90s. Right.
Yeah.
BJ barely scraped the 90s.
Sorry, you were in the 90s.
Yeah,
I can tell
Anyway,
you what
so
I was
happened in the
13 in
90s.
1999.
right. So you are that's what I was talking about. So what did you see when you're a teenager?
What did I see? I seen a lot of um, male and female swapping. I seen girls become more masculine, and I seen more guys become more feminine. And I remember at the time they kept pushing the only thing you want to be is a thug, or you want to be is a soft corporate dude. So
Mm-hmm.
you always see them images played back and forth. And then we got the image of you do dirt when you're young and you become legit when you get older. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, as for me, growing up in my household, I'm from an old school Christian household where it's patriarch. All I seen was marriages that last forever until they died. My
That's right.
grandparents was married for
Yeah.
66 years on my dad's side until my grandpa died. My grandma and grandpa on my mom's side, they were married 50 years until she died. So, and my
Cool.
parents are still together for 39 years, going on 40. So when I seen that, I'm almost like I'm a baby boomer pretty much the way I think, which is funny. And my dad always said we're like generations behind, kid. You know the way I think. So when I hear terms of baby mama and baby daddy, I had to get used to it because I'm like, this sounds so ghetto, and I'm like, I ain't
Ghetto.
never heard this in my life.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a household that was very old school. So when I went to school, it was like a step out of reality. So I seen kids that grew up with their grandparents rather than their parents. But the Gen X, they grew up with their mothers. But then when it came to my generation, millennials, they were growing up with their grandmas because the moms and the dads were like messing up at that point in time. So
Exactly.
when my dad used to go on field trips, he would help other little kids, and they're like, "Oh, dude, you got the best dad ever." Like my dad went with me all my field trips. My mom,
Nice.
she was basically at work. So but the thing about it is, when I seen that, it showed me a flip side of a reality that 70% of them grew up without dads, and that's a sad thing. You know, it's a sad, affairs. But I'm starting to see a lot of young men that wants to be fathers. They want to be better than what they've seen. And like what X was saying, black men are the best fathers ever. If
Ever.
you ever
Mm-hmm.
see it, and they
Hands
try to
down.
fight for their kids, and that's why I tell young men, know your dad's story, whether he was in your life or was not in your life. Go look for him, dig him up. If he's alive, dig him up, and try to find out what was his side of the story. How
Yep.
did you and mom end up? Because we tend to forgive moms for everything. That's one thing my pastor teaches us. Because I'm from a patriarchal church, and they say, the only way you're going to have a good relationship with God is to understand your father, your earthly father,
We
understand
have
his
to.
struggles. You got to understand he's a human. He messes up. Like we forgive moms for everything, even if she was a crack fiend, like Tupac said. What about your dad? What about his struggles? And a lot of black men is not going to find their manhood. A lot of them is not. Some of them going to find it because they have uncles and grandfathers. But a lot of our young men are not going to find out about who they really are until they tap into what their father been through. Now, if your dad was a molester, a raper, and all that stuff, I can understand you don't want to go visit him and see him. That's legal stuff. But
But
if he was just an absentee, like Class Ruby was talking about, was your cousin that
Mm,
didn't understand
my
that he
uncle.
was your
Yeah,
uncle. Okay, I'm
my
sorry.
uncle's kid. Yeah. So my
Yeah.
cousin.
And so a lot of young men don't understand. They think they've been abandoned because they're hearing one side of the story. They keep seeing Waiting to Exhale. They keep seeing Color Purple.
Preach
They keep
on
seeing
it.
all these
Preach, BJ,
depiction of black
man.
men being trashed. And even as a kid, I was like, why is these movies still portraying us like that? I was a child when I was saying this, and my daddy's like, that ain't true. And my grandpa and my moms and them, they was like, ugh, that's kind of weird. And what they don't know is they're being swapped. They're being taught to be feminine, and a lot of girls are suffering from the symptoms as well. We always talk about the man part, how a lot of men ain't being men, but women are also being affected by this as well. What they do is they come to a relationship bossing men around because they seen their grandma and them boss them.
yeah,
And
they
anybody
take the
know me,
master of the man.
really? Any of my ex girlfriends you ever talk to me like, they're like, we couldn't even boss them around. They're like, I tried so much stuff and I couldn't do it. They was like, man, you a different type of dude. I'm like, I don't know where y'all come from. And they was like, well, they'll go into their whole story about how their dad not being there and things like that. And a lot of women don't understand they're mentally raping their children when they talk about their dad like that.
Yep.
They're mentally
Oh yeah.
raping their children from
I
being
wanna
an adult.
I wanna
Yeah.
touch on something that brother BJ Allen D was just saying.
Hmm.
Now, we know that most of us grow up without our fathers in the house. That's just a fact. I mean, you can fudge the numbers all you want. In
Hmm.
black society, that's how most of us grow up. All right.
Right.
And a lot of times we grow up with these so called absent fathers. All right. And I don't believe it is as many absent fathers as they said, but that's another
Right.
time, another story. And I got a video about that coming to the airways pretty soon. But anyway,
Okay. Okay.
now when kids grow up with this so-called quote unquote absent father, and the only thing these children have, if that man isn't around at all, the only narrative that these children have is the narrative that's being given to them by their mother, grandmother, whoever is around. And like you
Hmm.
said, brother BJ, you get of a certain age, you should go and seek out your father. You should go and
Hmm.
find that man if that man is alive. You know, like the brother said, if he's not a rapist or whatever, you know, a molester, that's different. But if he's
Hmm.
not any of that, you need to go seek that man out and get his side of the story. You know why? And
Hmm.
I tell this to my children, I tell this to my lady, and I tell this to anybody who I talk to. Look, one thing about your mama, the difference
Hmm.
between mothers and fathers. Fathers, we tell our kids the truth no matter if it makes us look good or bad.
Yep.
Mothers
Right.
don't. Your
Preach
mama
Yep.
on
is
it.
your
That's for
mama
real.
is going your mama is gonna lie to your black ass.
Yep.
Okay.
Cause she
You
in
think
fantasy
you
land.
yeah, you think she gonna tell you that her ass was a miserable bitch? You think
Nope. Nope.
gonna tell you that when she was younger, your father left her because she was hoeing? Do you
Hmm.
think your mother is
Mm.
going to tell you that?
And the
Do you
Nope.
reason
think
for
your
that,
do
I think the
you
reason
think
for
your
that
mama
is,
gonna tell you that your
yeah,
father left because she was sleeping with his fucking best friend?
I
Oh,
You
know a
think
story
your
like
mother's
that.
gonna tell
yeah,
you
there's
that?
a lot of
She
stories
is
like that too.
she is going to take that shit to the fucking grave. She's
grave.
gonna
Mm.
lie to your ass your whole fucking
Fucking
life,
life.
Hmm.
make up shit about your father. So you go, you find your father and get that man's story.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Get his story before you determine whether or not you're gonna like or dislike this man.
And,
Real.
Don't let that shit be based off of your mother marginalizing, not just marginalizing him,
Hmm.
but marginalizing his image.
And
All
True.
right.
his.
True.
man,
Do not let that be the only image of your father that you have.
hey there,
Hmm.
You understand?
hey there, General Sarge,
Do not. Chaw Willie, what's good?
General
Hey,
Charge.
I see
hey,
you.
lady child.
Hey, but
Yeah.
don't forget to say this also though. We also know anybody that's black, we know that in the black family, there are those deep, dark secrets in different subjects of
Mm.
your cousin, uncle, or something. If
Hmm.
you was to bring that up, it starts a big ass fight, argument, shit people don't want to talk about.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
I think until people pull the covers off of some of that residue, then the young people that's coming up, like when you're trying to rear young children, but you're not
Hmm.
really revealing everything, like my brother just said, you can't
Hmm.
expect nothing but for everything to just go down the drain, man. I mean, it's no other way for it to go.
And you know, and what you saying, Gemini, some things you don't when you link up with your dad, if your dad is receptive to even talk about some things, move on. Just build a relationship. You know, because sometimes we like to be like, well, dad, he wasn't there. You got to stop and say, you know what, this person has a right to not want to talk about it. I
In
just want my
most
kids to
cases,
know. I just want my
yeah.
kids to know about their grandfather. In most cases, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Exactly.
In
But
most cases,
sometimes,
in black people, the child, the person in question that wants to know, in most cases,
mhm,
when they want to seeking and finding these types of answers, what we're talking about,
mhm,
they already grown. They
yeah,
already
they're
have
grown.
a life. They already have
Yeah, they're
responsibilities.
adults. They're
Mhm,
adults. So
You know what
they're
I
adults.
mean?
I mean, but
So it's not like they're trying to start trouble, but it's
you
some
should
things,
you should
it's
I
some
feel like
things that
this,
need to be
man.
put to bed.
and maybe
you know what the thing
maybe I'm a
is?
little biased because I'm a man. You should give your father the benefit of the doubt. You give your
Yes.
black ass mama the benefit of the doubt on all
Yes. Thank
kinds
you.
of shit.
Mm.
You give her the benefit of the doubt of fucking going across your head with a lead pipe.
Yeah.
You give her the benefit
That ain't
of the
funny,
doubt.
but that
You
ain't
give her the
funny, but
benefit
I
of the
know.
listen. You give her the benefit of the doubt, watching her drag fucking men in and out of the fucking house, and all your goddamn brothers and sisters got different daddies. You give her the benefit of the doubt on that shit. You give her the benefit of the doubt, leaving y'all fucking home by yourself. You give her the benefit of the fucking doubt, leaving you home with her fucking boyfriend, and that motherfucker's trying to molest your ass. You give her the benefit of the doubt of all that shit, but you don't give your old man the benefit of the doubt, and all he did was leave. All he did was leave. That's it. Your mother broke
No matter what the reason, he
that's
left.
all he did was leave. Your mother broke a broomstick over your head. Your mother's boyfriend molested your ass. You sat back and watched her drag man after man after man in the fucking house. You watched her leave y'all home by yourself. You watched her with her fancy wigs and fancy dresses.
Trolling, lying to you.
Fucking refrigerator empty. With her just lying and lying and lying.
Lying. I love you. I love you. And going somewhere else.
Trying to get you to fucking lie about shit, convincing you to lie about shit. If you're gonna give her black ass the benefit of the doubt for all of that shit she did, you can give your old man the benefit of the doubt because all he did was leave.
And brother,
you're gonna make me call my father tomorrow, man.
Yeah,
you're gonna make me call my father in the morning. Real talk. And when I call it, when I'm a subscribe to your channel. Because this is your channel, I'm sure, when I said I'm new. But once I do, I'm gonna go down in this comment section of this chat, and I'm going to tell you that I called my father. Because my sister, I talked to her a week and a half ago, and you know, my father talked a little bit of shit to me about a year and a half ago. You know, he was talking greasy to me, and I was ready to do him, but you know, after I heard what you just said, you know, you gave me a different perspective on it. So I'm going to call my old man tomorrow, man, for Thanksgiving and see how he is. Just because the one that's next, I'm the oldest, but the next oldest, she called me and she was like, this, like I said, it's like 2.5 weeks ago. He wanted to talk to me. So I'm gonna do that, and I know he got what you call that CPD, congestive heart failure, failure and asthma and all that shit, and he still ain't doing shit right like the way he's supposed to. But I appreciate you for telling me that, man. That's real talk.
Right. Don't let him go to the grave without at least giving him the benefit of the doubt. Because we always do that shit, man. We don't, a lot of us, man, we grow up, like I said, we don't want to give our old man the benefit of the doubt for just leaving or saying something to us that we didn't like. But we gave our mother the benefit of the doubt for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30, 40 years of all the fucked up shit she did.
Even when they trolled us. When they trolled us and was dead wrong.
Shit, man. We give her the benefit of the doubt for a whole bunch of crazy shit. So we can't give our old man the benefit of the doubt just because he left.
Exactly. I had a good reason.
Boy, you preaching on that broom, man. You preaching on the broom.
And at the same time too, we got to be careful. Sometimes when the mother leave their best friends, because I have one friend I grew up in New York. Come to find out, they said the father was molesting him. But come to find out, he got locked up for 30 years for nothing. Come to find out, her best friend was molesting him.
Wow.
And he was telling her at the time I was getting molested.
Oh my God.
And she didn't believe him, and she didn't believe him, Blair, or what? She was just like sweeping it under the rug.
She actually kicked him out.
And that's what we got to deal with nowadays, you know, the unresolved issues, and even the issues, you know, what the problem is. We need this healing process for us, especially Black men, if we're going to lead the next generation to functionality, being functional.
Exactly.
I'm making up stuff now. but it leads us to that
It's
because
cool.
when you forgive and resolve stuff, it heals you within. Like even like mistakes, of what your dad did, it heals a part of you. It makes you give him a pass. And when you become a father, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to want your son to give you a pass. So with
Well,
each generation going on,
I tell you this, even if your father wasn't in your life,
mm-hmm.
right? Say he wasn't in your life, you 20, 30, 40 years old, and you find that man. When you sit down and talk to that man, you know what that man's going to tell you? He's going to tell you the fucking truth.
Yes,
you may not
Sure
like
is.
the shit he says, but the shit he tell you is going to be the truth. No matter what it is, it may make you mad, sad, cry, you may want to die, but it's going to be the truth. Unlike your black ass mama. She just gonna lie like a motherfucker till the day she died. And let me tell you something about your father, man. I'm gonna tell you something about your father because I had this situation in my life. Because I was out of my kid's life for a few years, and they came and found me. So I know this from experience. One thing about your old man, what he's gonna do, not only is he gonna tell you the truth, he is going to fucking apologize to you, and he's gonna admit to you that he was a fucked up father. He's going to admit that. Your mama will never admit that she's a shitty mama. No matter how much crack she smoked, no matter
Say it again,
how much of a drunk she was, no matter how bad she hold, and you heard niggas in the next room blowing her back out. She will never come to you. She will never come to you and say, "Look, son, I know I was a horrible mama." But your father will tell you that. He will tell you, "Look, son, I know I was a bad dad. I knew I was a fucked up dad." He will say that. Your mama will never cop to that shit. She is taking that bullshit to the grave.
I do that to this day, man. I might rip my daughter a new ass talking like how we talking now. It probably won't even be 24 hours. I'm softer than when a rat done pissed on some cotton. I'm breaking down, apologizing to her. Because I don't want her to feel like that, I'm not there for her because, first of all, I'm a man and I'm supposed to be her dad. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's a different dynamic, and I think a lot of ladies just don't understand. A dude he's got to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yep.
That's what he's expected to be. So at any point in time when you're called on, you better know something about it. But the time that you don't, you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Until a couple of weeks when the smoke cleared, then you back to shit. But I understand exactly what you're saying, man. It's hard. I don't said it. It's three minorities and it's three people in this world that got privilege, or three categories. That's a white man, a black woman, and a white woman. The last two is not in any certain order. A black man is always at the bottom of the totem pole. I don't give a fuck if you got a million niggas pledge Kappa or all like that and get out here and get in these businesses, you still at the bottom of the totem pole. You heard what Trump said about LeVar Ball. He called him a poor man's Don King. So are you saying that as an insult or as a compliment? Because the last time I recall, Don King was supporting Trump. But then we can reach way back, maybe further back to people that's on the panel. I remember when boxing was on Showtime on a Viacom cable with the zip box. The box with the cord and you go the zip.
I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
King was promoting those fights on Showtime at Trump's venues. So Trump was making money with whoever used, I guess what he said, he's the poor version of a rich nigga. That's the way I took it.
Pretty much.
And then he said without the hair. And that really burned my ass, because how's he gonna talk about somebody's hair? Look at his hair. So
I think LeVar should have cooked him. I think LeVar should cook his ass.
Listen, LeVar, I give him credit.
With him, man. I think he's
that's what my mother said when I talked to her about it. But you know what? I give LeVar credit. Not one time when he was on CNN. Not one time. And if you don't believe me, look at the tape again. He did not call him out his name. He didn't call him no names. He didn't do shit. And once again, he gonna respond to this shit. He gonna respond to that, but he gonna do it with tact and skill. And I believe before he went on CNN, LeVar got some people that told him, look, handle it like this, that, and the other. Unlike 44, he got handlers and they tell him, listen, don't do this, don't do that. See, that's the difference. LeVar got some sense, but sometimes he coon. I don't like how he was throwing the ball players, the black ball players and all like that shit under the bus. But when I heard that he was going to be on CNN, I said, mash the gas on that motherfucker's neck all the way to the floor. And the reason why is because 44 has no problem with pressing the gas on black people, man. And I give him credit. He is doing exactly what the top of this conversation is about. The man growed him a pair and stood up and said what the fucking TI is, man. That's what he done. And I want him to continue to do that when it comes to this motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, despite of anything else, man, even if I disagree with a person's politics or their policies, man, I mean, I would never disagree with a man saying what the fuck is on his mind, because that's what more of us need to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what more of us need to do. More of us need to say what the hell is on our mind, especially when we're in the right. You know, when you're in the right, there's no reason for you to have to suppress yourself. There's no reason for you to have to submit or placate, especially to some more effeminate nonsense. You should never have to do that. Never.
You never tell a black person in the black community whether you think is right or wrong or not. This is one of the golden rules of being black. You never have no business telling another motherfucker black person, and you black or whatever color, how to handle and do their kids.
Exactly.
That starts the motherfucking fight right there. Whether if you right or wrong, what you tell them is right. We already know this. It's one of those unwritten rules about being black. You got to be close knit with someone to tell someone that's black about their kids, man. And see, 44 or whatever, orange 45. Man, 45 don't understand that shit. He don't understand that shit. He really don't. And just like all them trolls, didn't y'all see that shit? The trolls came out in abundance. But they was trolling LeVar Burton. They was trolling the Kente. They was trolling the Reading Rainbow man. He had to say something or tweet. They got the wrong LeVar.
Well,
y'all don't know that shit, man. Y'all can look it up for yourself. I ain't making this up, man.
I'm just gonna ask y'all this because we about to wrap up soon. I wanna ask y'all this. Well, I want to leave y'all with this before we go. all the men in black society, I mean, and probably all other men too, but we're talking about primarily black men tonight. Black men within black society, we can stop ourselves from being marginalized. But the only way we're going to stop being marginalized by others is like what brother BJ Allen D said earlier. We have to stop marginalizing ourselves, man, because a lot of times we marginalize ourselves mentally. We marginalize our own thoughts. We marginalize how we act. We marginalize how we talk. We marginalize how we conduct our damn selves. So, of course, other people do that shit to us. You know, I don't think we have a healthy enough respect of our own manhood to make other people respect our damn manhood. If y'all understand what I'm saying, I will say it again. I don't think we have enough respect for our own manhood to make other people respect our manhood. And when we start respecting our own manhood, others will have to respect it. Because I say this all the time, you don't attract what you don't respect. So you will never attract people to you that respect your manhood if you don't, brothers. And that's my final word on that. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Brother BJ Allen D, Classic Ruby, the classic one, Brother Gemini, Woman of the Past, Cats 938, Brother Max, and The Darkness Awaits, and of course you, Charles Willie, always. I appreciate y'all for showing up. I appreciate y'all for joining another session of the Prophet of Thought series, and I'll give everybody a final word before we go. I'll start with you, Brother BJ Allen D. You still there, Brother BJ?
No.
He has his mic on mute.
Mic mute.
BJ, unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic.
Bueller. Bueller.
All right, well,
away for a second.
all right, we'll go down to Brother Gemini then. Go ahead, Brother Gemini.
I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know sometimes my voice might sound loud, man. I get passionate when I start talking and everything. I got my headphones on. I have to try to control myself, but I appreciate you letting me come on.
Not here you don't. When you hear, you're allowed to say whatever the hell you want to say.
Well, I try not to speak too loud because I know sometimes when I'm on Discord, my voice may project too loud. But I appreciate you letting me come on over here. Let me say what I had to say and everything and share a little something. Hopefully I put a little something down.
Yes.
One of y'all could pick up, and I will be subscribing as soon as this stream is over. I enjoyed it.
I appreciate it.
It's really good, and I pass the mic off to someone else.
We're gonna go down to the darkness.
Well, for me, thank you. I already subscribed to you. It just popped up, and I enjoyed this, and I'll be coming along. As soon as I get off here, I'll be doing my I'm gonna do a live stream about Robert Mugabe. Hope you stay tuned for that, and you know. And so subscribe to me, and brother, I already subscribe to you. So hopefully you subscribe to me too, and everybody else.
Okay.
And thanks again, and I will not be a stranger. Thank you so much to let me know that I do have a voice.
You goddamn right. When you come here, you always got one, brother. Trust that.
Yeah, you know, because it's all about advocating ourselves.
Trust that.
It's all about advocating ourselves. So thank you so much, brother. And I'll be on the next one. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let me get here because I gotta get myself together.
Always welcome. Peace, brother. Brother Maxwell.
I'll make it short. First, I want to thank you for having me on your platform. I do appreciate it. On the topic of keeping your manhood or being masculine, it's just being true, being honest with yourself, and being honest with others. That's where the term alpha comes from. To be able to lead and not really be unapologetic. Doesn't mean that you're going to be right all the time when you lead. You're going to mess up some way, somehow. You know, you're going to mess up multiple times even. but you always have to have the confidence you're going to succeed. And to answer that, how we could fix the community when it comes to women getting back into the masculine is to be honest with themselves and holding their women to a higher standard. I'm gonna keep it brief, but I had a situation where I know for a fact someone's wife was cheating on them, and multiple women knew this. And not only did they know this, they knew that this guy was getting cheated on with multiple guys as well, including one that he considered a friend. Do you think any of them told this guy, who is a good guy? He's not one of these guys that cheat and don't. He actually try to better himself. Do you think any of them told him this? Do you think any of them even went so far to tell the woman, "Hey, if you're gonna do this, don't do this in front of me"? No, they let it go. They let it slide. They just ignored it and made it a problem. I've always been like that with my guy friends. If they cheating on a girl and I know that girl is good, I tell them that's wrong. I don't want to hear it. You do whatever you want to do with it. But if that fucks up, you're to blame for that. You have to realize that. I always do that. So if you as for women, have more accountability. You have a friend that's telling you their whole stories. You don't have to listen to that. You don't have to listen to that, because sooner or later they're gonna realize it's nothing that you're going to entertain, no matter how much they want to talk to you about it. And if we start doing stuff like that and holding people more accountable for their stupid actions and stuff, it will limit them being open about it like they are now. So that's all I have to say. Again, thank you for having me on your platform. I appreciate it, and I already have subscribed to you. But I'm definitely going to be looking for you.
You owe me a damn. You owe me a damn email too, Max, because you know we had talked. You're supposed to be sending me that story, man. You ain't sent it. I ain't seen no email, brother.
Hey, I'm put like this. I got stories to tell. I'm gonna wait for you to have another video, and I'll jump in and I'll go in. But I can't say any names.
I'm gonna hold you to that shit now.
I can't say any names. My face is out there now.
Okay. I'm gonna bring that shit up the next time we talk, brother. But I appreciate you showing up, man.
No problem.
All right, brother. Guess we go down to Cats. Cat, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Final thought.
Thank you for having me on your platform. Absolutely. It was, you guys are very informative when you talk, and I hope to see y'all again in the near future.
Oh, you know you're gonna see me again.
She's so cool. Is the other side of the pillow, man.
Yeah.
She's funny, and she's real funny in them chat. Yeah, she's funny as hell. She's funny as hell.
I can't tell the jokes as well on like saying them because people think I'll be dead serious.
That's what makes it funny.
That's what makes it funny, though.
Well, Cat, so you can't nobody fault you because you got that girl 6 voice, that old Spike Lee joint movie.
Girl 6.
Right. Don't let them slight you. You like the female version of BGS. You got the female radio voice.
Okay.
Brother BJ Allen D, you there yet, man? Final thoughts,
I'm here. Bro? Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the show. You know, I always enjoy when you talk knowledge to us. You know, you tell us different things. You give a different insight on different things. That's why I love the black male sector, minus a few of YouTube that actually gives wealth of information, and y'all are real men. I like that. You know, I always tell my dad, I'm like, I listen to these guys, and when I hear real men talk, I'm like, oh, I gotta subscribe. So what I'm doing is I just sharpen my tools, get a little bit better. You know, as years go by, I want to be more mature into the better version of me each time. So if I run into any of you guys, I'm like, okay, let me listen to what they're talking about. So yeah, that's my final thoughts.
I appreciate you showing up, brother. WOTP, what's up, girl? Final thoughts?
Yes, a lot of knowledge, of course, that's for sure. I completely ground up and learned so much. And I like the final phrase that you said, or wraps everything basically, is you have to be a man for yourself. And then I learned a new word, marginalized. I didn't know how we can assimilate all this like that. So it was really, really nice to learn a lot tonight. Thank you for having me in your platform.
Thank you for stopping by. And of course, Chaw to the will. Final thought.
Yeah, I want to say that hanging out in the YouTube streets with a lot of brothers, what I find is you guys have a fighting chance, and you have an you have better options now. And because you have better options, a lot of these women are not liking that because that means you have choices. And a lot of choices that they've made, it's kind of hard for them to pull out of it, and you all are pulling away from it. So that's why a lot of screaming and hollering is going on with the sisterhood. They're not liking the fact that you're tired of what they're giving you, and you're not getting from them. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. Well, as always, Chaw, you know you one of my most loyal, so it's always
The
a pleasure to have you
general.
around. Yeah, absolutely. And the guest of honor, the classic one. Any final thoughts?
Classic
Yes.
Ruby.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I had a great time. I didn't know what the topic was going to be, so I was just like, "Oh wow, this is a deep topic," and I think that you should definitely cover it again and again because there's just so many different and things we need to cover. My final thoughts are along the lines of we have to remember we can recognize people who are marginalizing Black men overtly, like obviously, and everyone knows stay away from those people. To realize is that there's also implicit marginalization, people who look down on you and think you're not anything and will be holding you back even if they're not consciously doing it, even if they're not overtly doing it, and they might even think that about themselves. So watch yourselves, Black men. If you're a good man and you see things in your life, they're going in a downward trajectory and you think you're doing everything right, take a look at the people you have around you, not just women but also men, family members, whatever, because bias against you and thinking that you're not worth anything and that you should be held down can actually take away from you in ways that you can't even imagine unless you're guarded against it. So just try to safeguard yourselves against any of that, because you're here, so that you should be on an upward trajectory because that you don't deserve the BS that's going on in the Black community today. Final thoughts, and again, thank you for
Wow.
inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. Always a pleasure, classic one. And I just want to tell everybody, make sure you stop by the old Popular Thought Series YouTube page more often, and definitely stop by the Popular Thought Series Facebook page. Stop by there, Popular Thought Series at Facebook. Also go to the TPOT bandwagon. Also go to the Popular Thought Series group page, the fan page. Get up on there, request to be on there, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. There's always stuff being posted on there, just not by me, by other people. It's about 2,700 people up there. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And make sure you stop by the website as well, the old Popular Thought Series website, www.don'teventryi.wikifoundry.com. Stop by that. And remember, like, share, subscribe to videos. And like always, y'all, I want to thank y'all for stopping by and spending some time with TPOT Media. We always appreciate y'all here. Keep your eyes open for some new videos and some new stuff, because we're going to have some good shit coming at y'all the next couple of weeks. So make sure you hit that bell so you can see it when it comes on nice and fresh, all right? So
100.
with that, I'm going to leave y'all with 3 words like I always do. Open your minds. And we out of here, y'all. Thanks for watching. Peace, folks.
Deuces.
Cheers.
Good night.
The Prophet of Thought series. Prophet of Thought series. Open your Prophet of Thought series. Open your mind.